Welcome to the mind of LanceScurv, the most creatively profound man in cyberspace.
Welcome back, family. LanceScurv here. Glad to be here. I'm going to do something a little different tonight. And I might just do this type of show once a week, maybe twice a week, maybe more than that. Sweet D, the first person in. Wow, you've been missing some of them sometime, but you made sure to get up in here tonight. I'm glad to see you, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you. Always the Sweet D. That's right. Yeah, we're going to do something a little different tonight. I'm going to vary it around. We're going back to the old school, pre-certain people type format. You know, we're going to have fun. We're going to be serious. We're going to have tear jerkers. We're going to tell stories. We're going to talk about Black folks and things that deal with us. We're going to talk about life overall. Giant Gain in the house. I didn't even look down. When I looked down and saw the red, I was like, that's Giant Gain. I know it. That's right. Anyway, it's going to be another freestyle. And I want to talk about the place that most people have never seen. What do you mean by that? People say, well, I go to New York City all the time. Well, listen, the New York City that you see now is famous for a lot of things, and you can go to certain landmarks and stuff. But the flavor of the New York City that I know back in the 70s, back in the 80s and beyond, maybe you can say a little bit of the 90s, I'd say that. But that was a whole different creature. And like the title says, it was dirty, grimy, and dysfunctionally sweet. You didn't need cable TV back in the day. You just had to go hop on the train from wherever you were in New York City. And I wrote a little piece that I want to kind of share here. It starts like this. Growing up in New York City during the late 70s and early 80s was a unique adventure, a gritty reality that shaped many of us in profound ways. As teenagers, my friends and I frequently ventured into Manhattan, driven by a desire to explore the city's underbelly. We were clean kids, but the allure of the dark side was irresistible. The stories we gathered during those years reflect a New York that most people safely tucked away in their beds at night never had a chance to witness. The Bronx, in those days, was a place of stark contrast. Amidst vibrant communities full of culture and life, there lurked a shadow of crime and decay. The South Bronx was infamous for its burned-out buildings and graffiti-covered walls, symbols of a borough in crisis. Walking these streets, we encountered open-air drug markets, primarily dealing heroin and later crack cocaine. The tension was palpable. Violence was always a possibility, and yet there was an undeniable energy that drew us in. Brooklyn, too, had its dark corners. Neighborhoods like Bushwick and Bedford-Stuyvesant, aka Bed-Stuy, were battlegrounds for rival gangs, and the streets were often scenes of violent confrontations. The drug trade flourished here. With crack houses and dealers at nearly every turn, we navigated these areas with a mix of curiosity and caution, always aware that danger was just around the corner. Prostitution was rampant, and it was common to see young women, often underage, work in the streets, their lives consumed by addiction and exploitation. Queens. That's where I was born in Manhattan, but I was raised in Queens, so I know Queens real good. But less notorious than the Bronx and Brooklyn, it had its own secrets. Certain areas like Jamaica and Far Rockaway were hubs of criminal activity. We saw firsthand the impact of drugs on these communities, the way addiction tore families apart and left a trail of dysfunction. And it really did. It was really bad, seriously bad. Mental health issues were pervasive, with many individuals living on the streets, their minds lost to substance abuse or untreated illnesses. These encounters were a stark reminder of the fragility of the human condition. Manhattan, the belly of the beast, particularly Times Square, was the epicenter of the city's dark side. The bright lights and bustling crowds masked a seedy underworld of drugs, prostitution, and crime. We spent countless nights in this urban jungle, mingling with misfits and outcasts. The theaters and peep shows attracted a mix of tourists and locals, but it was the street life that fascinated us, not to participate in it, but to observe it happening in front of us like a fish tank. Pimps and prostitutes conducted their business openly. Drug dealers lurked in the shadows, and the mentally ill wandered aimlessly, lost in their own worlds. Staten Island, the forgotten borough. Even Staten Island, often overlooked in discussions of New York's dark side, had its moments. Certain areas were plagued by crime and drug use, hidden away from the public eye. The ferry ride itself was sometimes an adventure with its share of eccentric characters and occasional violence. It was a microcosm of the city, a place where the same issues played out on a smaller scale. Looking back, our adventures in New York City's underbelly were both thrilling and dangerous. We were drawn to the city's raw, unfiltered reality, a world far removed from the safety and comfort of suburban life. The experiences we had, the people we met, and the stories we witnessed shaped us in ways that are difficult to articulate. We saw the best and the worst of humanity, the resilience and the despair, and it left an indelible mark on our souls. This is just the beginning of a deeper exploration into New York City that most have never seen. In future discussions, I'll delve further into these experiences, sharing more stories of the places and people that defined our youth. The city's dark side was a world unto itself, and we were willing explorers, captivated by the grime, dysfunction, and strangely enough, the sweetness we found amidst the chaos. We sure did a lot of chaos out there. But like I said, when Mayor Rudolph Giuliani came into power as being a mayor, he had this thing about, it was a term that they used, right? And again, for those who are just coming in, I just want to welcome you. And I see Gadsden Gallery. I see Kimmy, Revamp, Ricardo, just cooling. Okay, just cooling. That's on Instagram. And there might be a few more who I don't see. But Gadsden Gallery, yeah, you can attest to what I'm about to say. So that's why I'm going to make this a regular thing. You know what I thought to myself? I don't know how many people remember years ago this little white man called Joe Franklin, the Joe Franklin Show. And I said, you know what? He was on to something because he spoke of nostalgia. You know, we have our time on this earth. We have our time that we're young. We have our time that I always feel young. I'm not an old man trying to act young or be young that way, but I'm young in my spirit, and I'm always going to be that way as long as I take care of this human suit called the human body. But I never did drugs. I never did anything. You know, my brain is intact. My brain is still sharp, even though my voice is getting hoarse by the night. I think I should do my shows a little earlier because my throat starts. There's a lot of dust here because we're doing a lot of work in this building here, right? So it's been a lot of dust here. Trust me. But it's everything's about to unfold, and I will show the people in the membership area. But yeah, those things that have happened, and for me, being curious, being nosy, wanting to explore, not wanting to do anything bad, but you know, growing up in Queens at that time, there were little things that you saw, but Queens at one time was almost looked at by those in Manhattan and the Bronx and Brooklyn as suburbia. You know, most cities, they grow from the center on out. It's like you have a big bucket and you fill it up with a water hose, but you're looking the other way talking to somebody and the water spills out and goes outward. Well, let's just say, for example, you take Manhattan and along the edge of Queens, it's spilled over there. Along the edge of Jersey City, which technically is not New York City, but still, that's right. It is part of New York City, right? Then you go to the Bronx, and you go to Mount Vernon and Westchester, Scarsdale. Things spread out. So the bad stuff was always in Manhattan, in Midtown, Alphabet City, and different things. But yeah, Brooklyn had its parts way back from what I hear, because, you know, I talk to a lot of people who were older, and they told me how things were long before I was born. So I get the feeling that as time went on, a lot of things spread out. And I know this about Queens, because my family left Manhattan in 1968 in September. I was born in April of 63. So, back then in 68 and 69 and 70, it was utopia. We had white flight going on back then, but there were a lot of people, as Gadsden Gallery can attest to, and we went to school together. And I was thinking about a lot of those guys too. And I was Googling some names and couldn't come up with anything. And it makes you wonder, like, you're not Googleable? You got to be Googleable these days. I just made up a word. But yeah, and we got along. And although me as a black man came to realize a lot of realities of living in America, back then it was just, we were young and innocent and didn't feel the sting of certain things. Although our minds knew it, we heard about racism and stuff, we still loved our classmates. We still got along with them. They would say little things. You remember, I'll mention some names here for Laura. Oops. I won't say who Laura is. I'm sorry. But I was thinking about Donald Womble, Michael Rainey, just those guys who are always troublemakers, and saying little funny things and getting put out of class. It was something. And you think about these guys, like, where are they now? And here we are. And it's almost like this. And I was telling some younger folks here who were doing some work in my house. I said, listen, your guys are 18 years old. You look around, you're 25. You look around, you're 35. You look around, you're 50. You blink your eyes, you're in your 60s. And people have told me that were older than me when I was younger. They say, you better enjoy it now. But I'm not hung up on the number. I'm still here and I'm enjoying it probably more than I did before. Like, okay, for those who are still in New York City, beautiful. But me being out of it, I've had so many experiences, so many adventures, so many different things that are filed away in my mind. It's almost like I was built to do this because I retained so much. And now that I notice the times when, I moved down to Orlando, Florida for a couple of years. I was there for 19 years. And I didn't frequently visit New York City because it's like my friend Carlos said, I am New York City. Now, that's not an egotistical statement, but you're so saturated with the essence of it. It kind of hurt when things changed. Because when we moved out in 1968, I was 5 years old, 5.5 years old. And I remember rabbits. I remember little garden snakes. I remember fireflies. I remember the praying mantises. I remember the smell of greenery more. There were more trees in that part, And whether you were on the Richmond hillside or the Van Wyck Expressway or the Jamaica side, it didn't matter. It was just such a place that you can go out late. Not that you want to go out late, but if you happen to go to the store or want to take a walk out, really nothing was going to happen to you. We had heroin addicts out in Manhattan. There was some out in Queens, but it was far and few between. Now that problem grew over time, and I'm going to name drop a lot about the different things out here. And then as these types of shows go on, I'll zero in on certain things and bring in certain friends of mine that want to talk on some things, Yeah. Nat M, you're right. Xavier B, welcome on in. Viewing pleasure. Thank you for being here. Debo's, yes. You were filling in here a little bit, right? I told you I was going to do this every night. Back again. And I just want to say everything here is coming along fine. And I am so happy. Yes, we are. We are watching the fall of Western civilization. And really and truly, the way it is now, and I'm going to say this from firsthand experience, the griminess of Manhattan. Yeah, worms, you don't see it anymore. My father and I would go fishing, and we would dig in the dirt. We didn't have to go to a bait place. We'd dig in the dirt and get worms. And it didn't take long to put on the hook. Isn't that crazy? Worms, we don't even see it no more. And that tells a lot about the earth. But for Manhattan, everything spilled over time. And the 70s were wholesome to me. There were things going on. There were people who were on drugs and different things. Crime went on, but it wasn't to the magnitude of what was coming, And again, even me who explored every nook and cranny of the underbelly of New York. I was just curious. I wanted to see everything, and I saw everything, and I saw some things I didn't want to see. I can't unsee certain things that I saw. So friends of mine are either solo. That's the way it was for me. But like I said, there was a wholesomeness. It sounds like a sick statement, right? But let's just say Times Square, 42nd Street, which really wasn't the worst. It was the brightest. It had the movie theaters and the adult spots. And as I got into my teen years and got into bodybuilding, I went to certain gyms and got to know certain bodybuilders, right? So we became good friends, different gyms all over the city. And by this time, I'm jumping around, y'all. By this time, I was into competition, and I got to know guys all over the city. And a lot of these men were bouncers in these adult establishments. Oh, the 70s were great. Riri! You're not glad you're watching? Oh, you catching? Okay, yeah, you're glad. You just put no. She says she's not glad. Yeah, well, Riri, welcome on in. But like back then, there was a wholesomeness to the griminess. You can, as insane as some of the people were, and I guess this is humanity on a whole, people had a heart that you can reach past a certain point. Now, a lot of these guys that I knew were bouncers. There was a place called Peepland on 42nd Street between 7th and 8th, and everybody knew who these guys were. I mean, they were competitive bodybuilders, and they were in magazines, and they don't mind me mentioning their names. I mean, this was a long time ago anyway. John Lacabelli and Charlie Thomas. John Lacabelli was an Italian guy. Charlie Thomas was a black guy from Passaic, New Jersey. And he would leave Passaic, New Jersey, come all the way on the PATH train, go all the way into Brooklyn, the Ridgewood, Queens, and train, and then at nighttime take the train into Manhattan. And we didn't have smartphones back then, so we had headphones, right? But a commute was a commute, and you'd have to sit there. And these guys were so dedicated, in a sense, looking back, and I'm not putting them down, but they were a bit delusional. Because if they kept training, they're going to win the big trophy. And what did the big trophy bring? Nothing, except a photo in a magazine, maybe an interview, and bragging rights on trophies that are going to get dusty and old. So a lot of these guys that I knew, they didn't have their own thing that they were doing. You don't have to be on a job per se to make it. Hell, I knew people in New York City who didn't have jobs and had legal hustles and made lots of money. I mean, guys that did brakes and worked on cars and stuff in their yard. Not that that's the thing of choice, because we've got to think about retirement and stuff like that. And if you could do it on your own, fine. But these guys, they always kept putting things off. Well, if I win the state championship, if I win the nationals or the regional, and I win the nationals and the international, then I could turn pro. But there was no money in it. So it was sad that I liked these guys. They were cool guys. They were good guys. But they were heading toward a trajectory of hopelessness. And it's not for me to say. And it's not for me to kill anybody else's dream. Now, there was another guy who worked at the gym, but he wasn't a competitive bodybuilder. A couple doors down, there was a pizza shop. And this guy's father owned the pizza shop, and this guy ran it. I'm not going to say his name. So I had a chance to go and hang out in Times Square with a home base there. Meaning that I knew people that owned a lot of the establishments, and because I was there, not that I would go out there, just hang out all day, but whenever I went out there, I would always swing by the different spots that I knew. And of course, Peepland is an adult entertainment establishment. And for those in the country who don't know, because, when I speak about things, all about New York City, even when I have been in different places, whether it was North Carolina when I worked in a prison, or down in Orlando, Florida, where I worked in the jail and drove the bus, there are people who are born and raised in these places where the city is modern. These cities are modern, but it didn't have the history of New York City. It didn't have a chance for, like, Thanksgiving, a food that tastes better 3 days after being in the fridge, and the flavors congealed. And here you are finding yourself 3 o'clock in the morning, butt behind naked, or so with some little drawers or panties on, whatever, because everybody's sleeping. You don't even get a plate. You just rip off the turkey, and the flavor's even better than the time it was served. Let me just read this here. Debo's. Even the 90s wasn't that bad. I used to take my girlfriend to the movies almost every weekend. Joe Weider was holding all the money in bodybuilding. If you didn't win Mr. Olympia, it wasn't about nothing. Tell me, trust me, I can tell you about that. Nat M says, I live in Bangkok now, safe and super fast, developing well before anything in the West. You can go out when you want alone and you're safe. 14 million people in that mega city. I definitely want to check it. I used to be intrigued about Bangkok. You know why? Here's a crazy reason. That song, One Night in Bangkok. What does it say? Makes a hard man crumble. I love that song. And I think that song came out in 83 or 84, because I was training in the gym in Greenwich Village also, in addition to the one in Ridgewood, Queens. But yeah, those days still. And I remember talking to some older folks that were telling me at the 50s in New York City at that time, even in Times Square, there have been people that I know. My godmother had told me, she says, yeah, you know, I used to wear this gold chain and I would fall asleep on the train by myself sometime, coming back home, and nobody snatched it. People were courteous back then. We were more connected. And that's what made New York City so beautiful. There was crime. There were things going on, probably more than in the smaller cities, but there was something about that place. It was a forever feeling, because usually, like where I lived in Queens, and you know, other people that I know who are here also, right? When you moved, it was like, why are you moving? Like, you knew everybody on your block. You knew what the parents did for a living. Everything was stable and nothing moved that way. And my childhood reflected on the feeling of everything here is going to just stay this way. Not in a stagnant manner, we wanted that. Not in a way where it would just cut people out. No, people moved in. But when you knew these people for so long and you grew up with them, it's like, why are you moving? Well, you know, sometimes people transition. You have family members who transition, or, you know, folks want to go down south or different parts where they came from or whatever. But that just didn't happen. But when crack came, trust me, it happened and it changed everything. But there was a sweetness even in the underbelly in the grimy areas. Just want to give you a fast little story here. It's like, well, why does he have a white woman on his banner? Well, I met this young lady in Greenwich Village about 2 o'clock in the morning one night. And I was with my old girlfriend, and I looked at this woman and I said, I know this woman. I know her face. I know her jawline. You know, I'm an artist. I zero in on things. Certain things that you don't forget. And in actuality, yes, she was a porn star, and I knew of her. And how did I know? You know, that was back in the day. There was no computers, but a couple of guys I know had some tapes and stuff. Oh yeah, okay. Her name is Nina Hartley, and I had a chance to meet her. I kind of walked up to her, and she's turned around and smiled. She says, I know why you're looking at me that way. And I'll never forget it, because there was another woman with her that didn't look too friendly. She was kind of tall, and she looked a little butchy, if you know what I mean. And so Nina was very friendly. And the other lady was trying to get her out of there. Even though we were in Greenwich Village, what is it now? 6th Avenue, I believe. At night, you'd have some people come out and take all these old books and spread it out on the sidewalk. And you walk up there and you see a book that you may think is 15, 20 bucks. They sell it to you for $1 or $2, maybe $5. Old National Geographic magazines, old magazines, all kind of just interesting. It was just different. And that was Greenwich Village. And I spoke about that the other day when they had the riot down there in Washington Square Park. And I was telling everybody how Washington Square Park, nothing really happened. You saw crazy folks out there, born to be a nurse. Welcome on in. Wow. And I'm jumping around. African lady, Envy Beats. If I missed you, Nails by Felicia. Just coolin', I said. The real Azulka? Right. Okay. Luxury Lockout LLC. You love Lex Appeal. Did I miss anybody? Maybe I did. I'm sorry if I did. I got so many little chat rooms here to look at. Let me come on back over to YouTube. I got 2 screens in front of me, just in case we have a power blinkage and things go out. I got backup up in this bad boy. Let me go to the chat room and see over here. I'm looking at it on my phone. What do I have to do that for? Anyway, even walking around there, like I said, you've met some nice people. I used to love to go to the newsstands. Let me finish telling the story. I'm jumping around. I'm too relaxed now, right? I've been talking so much online, so much for so many years. It's like I'm talking to somebody right in front of me because I feel your presence and whatnot. So Nina Hartley, she was a porn star, but she came over different. And I know the porn industry. Folks were trying to get me in it, okay? I had a good body, and the scouts who wanted good guys, it wasn't like there was a shortage of guys, but they would come around to the gyms. And I got to know some of these guys. I have stories about that. And I will admit, I did take a series of photos, okay, back in 1984. But you won't know who it is because my face was chiseled and I had a head full of jerry curls, okay? So you're not going to say that's Scurv. And it wasn't a homo business. It was all hetero, right? I admit that. Here on the channel, I tell it. I tell it. What is it to be ashamed of? It's entertaining. All my friends know, right? Anyway, that's a whole different story, right? So we're talking, so she was kind of flirtatious, but I knew that also from seeing her on the Donahue show and different shows and stuff, her husband allowed her, of course he did, she's a porn star, but she was into black men, right? No, I wasn't really into no white women, right? But she was friendly and stuff. And the friend of hers, the butchy friend, was like, listen, we have to go back. We have to go back to Brooklyn to Vanessa's house. And I'm like, I talked to her. I said, Vanessa, are you talking about Vanessa Del Rio? You know? Oh, thank you, Nat M. Thank you. And it's a little horse right now too. And also, Nat M says 1 bedroom, fully furnished, a furnished condo in Bangkok, built in his pool, gym, and need a supermodern SkyTrain. What? $275 a month with a 1-year contract in New York? You won't even let it. You're right. You can't even get a dumpster for that money. They're gonna charge you for it. Hey, listen, give me $10 for you being in here for the night, and then you wake up stinking. I'm gonna definitely travel out there when things here are finished. I want to travel, provided the world is safe. And things happen everywhere. So I'm not a person who won't go anywhere. Look, I'm in Africa. I was in Richmond Hill, Queens, Orlando, Florida. Now I'm in Africa. And when things are done here and certain business things are pursued and everything, and I'm definitely going to travel the world. I'm going to share those adventures too. And I'm going to remember this. And you'll be on the camera with me. If you don't want to be, we'll hear your voice. I definitely have to make it to Bangkok. Just out of curiosity and explain. And I want to do the travel things, want to mix around with people and stuff like that. So I got to guard my voice from not being so hoarse right now. But in talking to her, she was like, "You're really, really," and my girlfriend at the time, she was into all of that stuff. So she didn't, I'll just say what it was, right? So she's like, "Oh, your man is so handsome." And I'm not saying that about me. I'm just saying she said that. And she said, "Oh, can I borrow him for a little bit?" She said, "As long as you share." I'm like, "Oh my God," So Nina Hartley gave me her phone number. And I'm not saying I'm bragging because some white woman gave me the phone number, but she was a person who was a person of note that you kind of famous and you knew. And I called at one point to say hi and talk to her, but not to, we're gonna hook up. But I lost the number. And I'm glad I did because I really, I called one time and I got an answering service. And it was out of curiosity. Because look, anybody who hears this after, "Oh, Lance, you was trying to get some." No, you all know I like to talk. I talk to everybody. I can get something from everybody. I'm not looking to take, but it's an exchange. And the impression you leave on me gives me something to feed from, to weave like a basket into my being, that I had this experience and I have a little more knowledge in talking to this person instead of hearing about a certain type of person. You see what I mean? And I'm going to be talking to all kind of people the more and more I settle down when the studio gets done. So trust and believe that. And when I start traveling, it's on and popping. I just been home a lot because there's a lot of work being done here. And I haven't even been going out even here that much, even into town. So, trust me, it's going to expand. Folks said, "Oh, you're not going to Africa. He doesn't have enough money, or he's just bluffing. He's just trying to talk and be heard." September 16th this year makes 4 years that I've been here straight. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. even if it takes a little longer. Look, I'm not going to Umar Johnson, y'all. And I like Umar. This is going to be done in a year. This is going to be done in a year. Or maybe next year. Or maybe next year. Right? Nah. I'm going to always stay steady on it with sure-footed steps, you know? And, well, thank you, Nat M, about the radio thing. You know, I'm not going to say I'm insecure that way. Like, and I would never deny you, say, I don't have no radio voice, whatever. No, but people have told me that, but I don't get souped up on it like, yeah, I got this right, and start putting on and sound corny. I just talk normal. Whatever it is, you know, but thank you for the compliment. And I'll never get big-headed. I've done a lot of things on social media over the last 23 years, going on 24 years, almost a quarter century, in different levels. And the best way to stay grounded in this thing is to just stay grounded. Longevity. I've watched people switch up and change. I know a lot of people who are just straight frauds, engineered personalities just to get hits or to show you there's something they're not, to lure you in, to deal with that. I know somebody who's trying to start a cult, and their only social media righteous presence is really to lure women in. Seriously. And it just straight fraud. I can't do that. You know, exactly. Watch the trajectory. So anyway, we parted with her and whatnot. And when I came back and told friends, well, you know, I met Nina Hartley. Oh man, you're lying. No, you didn't. That's been the story of my life, because it's not about famous people, but it's about the people and the different energies that I've met coming up in New York City and beyond, and even out here. But there, it's always been, that didn't happen to you. No, you making that up. After a while, they realized that there was something about my energy that attracted different things to me. And having a tremendous sense of recall and a photographic memory and being in the moment. I'm always in the moment. It's not like I'm here and I'm thinking about something else. When stuff is going on, large or small, I'm absorbing the details. So I can spit it back. And I didn't know that it would come to this where, you know, and many people have YouTube channels and social media channels. It's a common thing now. When I started, it wasn't so common. So I'm just glad to have this length of time, even though the old channel is taken down, but they still say the videos are private. So they exist. And it wasn't taken down because certain individuals don't want a lawsuit that they may have anyway, but it's fully investigated. But back to the other stories and stuff. You know, Greenwich Village, I spoke about that. Wonderful place. A lot of art, a lot of creative people, a lot of sad situations where, you know, there's one thing where when you're an artist, no matter what you do as an artist, because being an artist doesn't mean you're monolithic in the end result, but that spirit. And I love to be around those people. I don't care if we do different things. It's the same creative mindset. And Gadsden Gallery, I don't know if you remember being in 226, where there was a point where they would allow me, was it Donald Wambo, Gary Robinson, it was one or two other people, and they had this mural that they really wanted to do this mural, and I did one. And Mr. Rosenberg messed me up because he didn't give me the 10 points on my grade. I was so mad. And I did with pen, detailed poster board. I don't know if you remember that. And they put it up and lamps and the flashlight. I'm going to tell that one good time on one of these shows and go into super detail, because I didn't go into super detail, right? Because I lost a lot of these stories that when they hijacked my old channel. So we're going to say it all over again. We're going to do it even better. And it'll be unhijackable, right? I'm making up a lot of words tonight. You know what? I'm sitting here in my shorts, and these guys, earlier, they swung the windows open and didn't pull in the screens, and they let a crap load of mosquitoes in here. So I'm going to rub some of this repellent on my legs, and they got a way of just finding the spots that you didn't hit, and they still get you. They got me all on my toes the other night. I'm like, So tonight when I go to sleep, I'm going to wear something long and saturate myself with this stuff. And it's natural. It's not a chemical thing, right? Yeah. Miss D Nice, hey. You're here for the tea. We're gonna have some tea shows too, right? I got a lot of tea that I can spill, but not in a venomous way. It's just the way it is, and I'll say it in a way where you'll figure out who it is. Oh yeah, I got the tea. I got the tea. But like I said, I'm not an old guy who is saying the old days were better, but you know what? The old days were better. I'm sorry. The vibration was different. And even though friends of mine and all of us were good kids, when we went out to these places and went to explore, as most adolescent guys will do that, but most are not going to tell. I didn't care. I told it. We'd go up in some of these places and I'd catch people that I know. Ain't that the pastor from around the corner? Oh my God. Yeah, we caught a pastor up in the peep show one time. And he looked me dead in the eye, knew who I was, and he just footed himself on up out of there. And it was a couple weeks later, I went to his church just to mess with him. I just stared at him. God could speak well, but he was just habada, 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 habada. He was just stuttering. And there was another one who, and I'm going to say it just to throw it out there funny before I get back on track. There was another one who wasn't a pastor yet. And he grew up in my neighborhood. I'll say it that way. And I saw him late one night. We grew up together. He was a little older than me. And he had to make a run. And it was late. And I knew him for living clean. I was just pulling up. And he said, hey, man, and back in the day, in the neighborhood, they called me Lancey. That just sounds kind of like broken wrist, but my mother did that nickname because when she called my father, like he was outside working on the van or in the yard, and she would say, Lance, both of us would come running. So they put the Lancey on mine. So everybody in the neighborhood started calling me Lancey in the immediate neighborhood, right? They make fun of that. They were also calling me Lancelot Lake Secret Chimp. Yeah. Unhijackable, yes. That's crazy. But yeah, so there was a guy there who had yet to be a pastor, right? And these things can happen anyway. This just wasn't a New York City thing, right? And we grew up together, and he asked me to take him for a run into Brooklyn. And the part of Brooklyn that he was going to, I mean, we're not dumb. I wasn't Superman. I never thought I was Superman. I just never had any fear when I went anywhere. So we went to this part near Bushwick Avenue off of Rockaway. I'm sorry. My mind is slipping. Bushwick Avenue and Atlantic Avenue, right? One block over, it was under the trestle by the train. And it was the street it's like everything stopped. It was late at night, but this is New York. It's like we saw no cars. It was under this train trestle, the J train. And he got out and walked around the corner. Now that was bad. That was bad. If you're naive, you don't understand what's going on. And I kind of didn't appreciate it. I never found out what it was, but I had my suspicions. Where are you going that you got to park here? I'll be right back. You thinking the door is right there where you going because they were apartment buildings. The buildings weren't tall. He walked around the corner. Oh, you walked around the corner because you was going to go pick up some drugs. That's what it was. I knew the guy. We grew up together, but I didn't know he was into that stuff. But his behavior afterward, because he wanted me to hang out with him, but I was up, and I just recently got into getting up early, right? Right now, because like I said, we got guys that are working on major work here, and they stay here, right? Because Dom is big, and these guys don't have cars. So when you go somewhere for 5 days, you go home for 2 days. And their boss, they're taking care of them with the food and everything like that. So they got up this morning, 6 o'clock, and they worked until about 9:45. And the only break they took was like 20 minutes. They ate real quick and they kept going again. These guys work. It's tougher over here. Not like tough like New York City streets with crime. Tougher with the economy. And these guys, when they work, they work. You see what I mean? So I'll be up early in the morning because I know they're going to be up at 6 to be banging and stuff like that. So anyway, I said, okay, let me park the car. When we got back, I felt funny because I knew what it was. I didn't know he was into that stuff. And plus, now here we are. I'm driving. He put me at risk if that was what it was. And it was that. He didn't say, I'm holding up my right hand, I confess. I went over there to get some cocaine. I don't get down like that. I've never sold drugs. I've never used drugs. I was in the gym and I didn't even use drugs then. I never used steroids. I don't do drugs. You know, I'm 61 years old. I'm strong. I may not be what I used to be, but I'm still a good fight. You still got some rounds in me, you know? So he went to his house. I went to my house and he said, oh, heck, we haven't hung out in a long time, you know? And so I went over there. I said, okay, I'll spend an hour or two and see what's up with him to talk a little bit. And when I went there, he was like zooted. His eyes were bugged out. He had a very deep voice, even from young. And so I came on in and he had his basement hooked up nice. You know, that was his mother's house that he inherited, and she had suddenly passed away. The funny thing about it was, when I saw her, last time I saw her, I was looking out the window, I was doing something at my house, and I saw her park her car and get out the car, and she waved at me. Well, hours later, she was dead. It kind of freaked me out. But anyway, we're hanging out down there, we're talking, he's offering me a drink. I'm like, no, I don't drink. Now I will have a little sip of wine every now and then. Fuki plum wine, really for the taste, not necessarily because it's alcohol. Maybe I'll do that once a year if I could find it. But, you know, I'm not into that. And the only reason why I found that kind of wine is when I was really heavy into sushi, because I started eating sushi back in 1984. So, you know, he's asking me questions. He's saying things. We're catching up on things. He's telling me, man, you know, I really admire you, man, because when you got into bodybuilding, the discipline that you had, and, you know, you're always a clean guy. You always, and then like he's just looking at me funny. I'm like, what's this joke? Just staring. It pauses in the conversation. He's just looking at me like, what you looking like that for? I felt like a chick walking past a daggone construction site with a mini skirt on. And I'm yanking a mini skirt down and people are catcalling me. He just had that look in his eye. And that's exactly what it was. And he's a pastor now, but he blocked everybody who knows him because I think he knows that people know. Now, I never said anything. So he started talking about, well, Lance, I know you know, a couple of years ago you were into doing male stripping, and, you know, have you ever did it where men were around? No, strictly an audience of women. Not to get too much into that, then he's like, well, you know, have you had any experiences? I'm like, well, listen, you live like that, you will have experiences. But I didn't need that to have experiences, okay? It was normalcy for me at that time. And it gave me an outlook different than most men who, I mean, we all get horny, okay? Right? It all depends what you do to get to that point. But the thing is, I was laid back as a man. I wasn't, ooh, hey girl. I was never aggressive that way. I was always laid back. I'll talk to you. I'll tell you you're beautiful and you're sexy and you're nice, and we'll continue to talk. And if we exchange numbers, I'll continue to talk. It's not gonna be, hey girl, when can we get together? No, it wasn't like that. You know? So as you both like, well, anyway, yeah, you want the punchline. So he left the room and came back. He was even more zooted. I thought I was going to have to catch one of his eyeballs. It might fall out of his head. So, you know, he used to call me Lancey like everybody else because we're grown now, but he still called me that nickname that I had from, you know, single digit ages. So he was like, Lancey, let me ask you something. Now, this is kind of graphic, but I'm not going to make it not graphic. I'm going to talk around it. I just don't want to make a graphic. You know, we'll have some graphic shows, right? So he's like, Lance, I got to ask you something. I said, okay, what? Have you ever been with a man? And I messed with his head. I took one of my friend's jokes. I was like, yeah, I've been with a man. And his eyes bulged out. He said, you were? He was all happy. I said, yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in a man. He says, well, tell me about it. I said, I can't really remember, but when my father and my mother were getting together and made me, and I came out of him in the form of a sperm, I was in a man. Oh, you're a comedian. I let him down. he thought he hit the mother load like, oh, I'm gonna get this man tonight. And that's what it was. And he kept asking me. I said, no, man, no experiences. To each his own. If anybody's into that, fine. Then I had to leave after this one, right? Because he said, Lance, let me ask you a question. I got to talk around this without being graphic. If a woman is performing an act on you, okay, boom, you all know what that is. And it's dark and there's no light. And she says, oh, I have to get up and go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Well, I'm not going to say, keep going. No, go to the bathroom because you get extra minutes when they come back. Let's start all over again. So he said, she comes back and closes the door. And she continues, and it's so good. And you hit that pinnacle, you hit that high point, you hit that peak, and you lay back, relaxed. And the person gets up and cuts the light on. It was a man. What would you do? I said, well, I got to get ready for that mugshot. That's a violation. Well, it felt good. And I said, that's your story. I said, I got radar, man. And first of all, you got to see who's coming back. You can't, that's like being in a club and walking away and leaving your drink there. And you go to the bathroom and you come back and you start drinking again. I'm sorry. I can't do that. I'm just not, it is, but it felt good. And would that mess you up? I said, no, because it ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? And I'm not against anybody, but I'm against violating anybody. Violating people, being pushy upon women, there's so much more, even to a woman, like even me as a man, even coming up, it was always because I was polite that way. I was never somebody hawking behind no woman and harassing and being a goon, being a clown, being a one-way guy, because I was too varied, I was too well read, just to be next to a beautiful woman who was friendly and you're having a good time. That alone did it for me. And I didn't have any problem that way. And I'm not saying that from an egotistical way, but I had enough good people that were older than me that schooled me on things. My father and my mother taught me to be a gentleman, But I mean, and that made it where it was even more opportunities than most men who were running after certain things. So because of the worlds that I traveled and the maturity they gave me on that level, where I wasn't always anxious. These women don't want to see you anxious on them. Oh, here he comes. He's going to be all over my face. His breath stinking. And he's going to all he want to do is go to bed with me and that's it. Women want to have fun too. And you know what? When you have fun and they get to know you and you get to know them, that's not a problem. You both flow. That's nature. That's been going on for countless hundreds of thousands of years. It's just we have a culture now and just ways of looking at things and how we're messed up now. But even back then, it was easier to be around people, your peers, who were females, and they didn't feel pressured. You had fun together. You're in school together, you're cracking jokes, whatever. It wasn't about just that. But these young kids now are so sexualized. You know what I mean? AMX, Optimus, welcome. Oh, you're going to New York? Ah, I just looked down and Bessie Bay and Troy Millen, Envy Beats on Instagram. Wow. Go on and take a few pictures and put it up in the community section on YouTube or on your Instagram page. Let's see them. You know what I mean? Wow. That's beautiful. But when it comes to that, most New Yorkers are desensitized to the shock effect of people who are living different lifestyles. You ride the train, you see people who have mental, health issues. You see people who have drug issues. You have people who are imbalanced. And I'm not judging. I'm just assessing, of course, by the way they act. There's something going on with them. But I don't look down on those kind of people. Riding the train and going to school in the city, high school art and design, that was a trip alone. And remember, I already knew surface travel and subway travel because of my parents, right? My mother didn't drive. She was always on the train. My father drove and had his own business all over the city. So I knew people all over. So that made me more comfortable to go out and do things. Because like I said, from when I was about 13 years old, maybe 12 or 13, sometimes I'd hop on the train by myself and go into Manhattan and walk around. And it was like one big circus to me. I wasn't laughing at anybody's dysfunction, but the neon lights and the midgets and the half naked ladies, like, what kind of world is this? It was exciting. I was curious, not to do anything to be in these situations, but you know, I associate music with people, places, and things. And I remember when I first went down to 42nd Street by myself, because my father would drive through if we're going to different parts of Manhattan, and I'd see it, say, man, I want to come down here. You know, and I was crazy because I was comfortable because we traveled so much in the city. You know, during the week I go to school, and if my father had a job he was finishing up, I'd ride with him and I'd go out there with him and help him get a little money. Wasn't doing much as a little boy, but you know, I saw the city and there's things I wanted to see. So I said, when I get older, I'm going to come out in these places and see what it's all about. So I have a lot of mileage under my belt, a lot of stories and a lot of mileage. Like I said, this is more like an introductory thing because I do want to talk about New York City more. And because we lost a lot of stories when they hijacked the other channel, I got to tell them all over again and so much more. We're going to have some fun. Florida Natural. I'm rude. Oh, really? Oh, I'm missing all this. You cussing and everything? We have to get you out of here. Wow. F-U-C-K, you bro. You rude, bro. F-U-C-K, you bro. Do you know any more words? Can you speak a little better than that? I mean, come on now. Did you pay attention in class? I'm having fun tonight, so come on now. Message retracted. I guess they didn't want to get booted out, right? They retract the message. Okay, let's see what I can do here because I got some magic abilities here. Let me see. All right, we'll do it that way. You can't get away from me. You can't get away from me. Oh, I see you, man. So many stories. It's okay. We crate digging, SoundCloud, whatever, and beyond. Exactly, and beyond. And I'm going to get in contact with some people that are not shy to come on because I know a lot of people who, you know, they're a little conservative and they're family people and they don't want, I'm not going to make them tell like on themselves, but you know, the wholesome fun times because there's a way to say a story. And sometimes they listen and say, man, I'm glad you didn't mention my name. I would never blow anybody up like that. I've got some funny situations. I'll never blow them up, but I do have one friend who would come on. He's going to tell it. The last 2 nights I've been trying to get him on, but I know he's working extra hours and stuff like that. He might be a little tired, but when he comes on, he's not as, he's more laid back and more soft spoken. I think I'm not aggressive, but I'll get into the details and tell it, and he'll probably be my dance partner and follow up with certain things and embellish the story. So I want to kind of do that, you know, because the time I spent in New York City was so intense that I can just, as like a person who's so rich they can live off the interest, I've experienced and remembered so much in every facet of life. I can go on the rest of my life telling stories. I mean, I wasn't in New York 61 years. I was there 38 years, but I'm still a New Yorker. And I absorbed, I downloaded so much. And then I would go out a lot, see things. You know, like I said, I'd hop on the train sometime. It could be wintertime. And this time I wasn't even driving. I'm like 15, 16 years old. And I knew the new bodybuilding magazines came out. See, we can hop on the internet and go get information. Like I'll go listen to something that will, you know, I'm into the tutorials now because I'm trying to learn a lot more to make the platform better. You know, I'm thinking I'm getting a little better with my graphics and stuff like that and other things, right? So when everything is in place in my studio, it's just clicked up. I'm going to be doing a lot of live shows because everything's going to be right there. Sit down, click, 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 boom, I'm there. So I have to move stuff around. And here now, we're doing the ceilings, right? We're doing the funny Google POP ceilings and then put Nigeria behind it and see what those ceilings look like. I don't think they do them in America, but my God, they're beautiful. And it's not super expensive either. POP, like pop, ceilings, and put Nigeria behind it. And then when you go on Google and it pulls it up, hit images so you can see all the different images. I was blown away. I said, I got to have that. You know, and I'll share some stuff on the membership page and on Patreon. And just for that, I haven't been putting stuff the last month. I've been so busy. But tomorrow I'm going to do some impromptu videos and stuff like that and put up on the membership thing, you know. And on Patreon, it's both the same. I'll be putting up the same thing. So if you're on one or the other, you're not going to miss anything, you know, and just take you along on the journey. But yeah, I used to sometimes get up 10, 11 o'clock at night, walk to Lefferts Boulevard or walk all the way up Sutphin Boulevard to the E train and hop on the train to go to the city. And my friends like, you're crazy. You're going to Manhattan this time of night. And sometimes, like, growing up, you know, it was Queens and it was Manhattan. But if you lived in Queens, sometimes you'd say, you going to New York City? We in New York City, right? That's just a little thing that a lot of people did. They didn't realize what they did because that was the city. You know, Queens was still considered suburbia. So I'd hop on the train by myself, always felt safe, never was in any threat except the one time when I was coming from the Bronx. And I told that story before, but I'll tell it in a few moments. But I'd go into the city and you had a newsstand on 42nd Street and 7th Avenue. And it was a separate little small, you know, like a little box newsstand. It had all the little candy and magazines hanging and those magazines to the side, right? And there was an Indian guy there, and he would always save one issue of each boxing magazine because those newsstands in Manhattan had really a vast array, even the smaller newsstands. And he just whip out a stack. And I had my allowance money or money I made, you know, doing things during the week or with my father or whatever. And I would just pay him whatever it was. And I'd take it. And he would save these magazines for me. Bodybuilding magazines and boxing magazines. And I wouldn't buy. I would get mad when I would see one. And I would like, nah, I'm going to wait until I go out there. So I was always going out there. And there was sometimes I wouldn't just go once a month. I'd go every 2 weeks to make sure and check them. I say, oh, no, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. So, okay, I'll be back. And I would go to the other bigger. That's another thing sweet about New York City. The magazines, reading. I love reading. I love magazines. And I would always go to the bigger newsstands that were a little glossier, you know, in New York City, in Times Square, wherever it was, and get magazines. I always made sure to get magazines that were beyond my skill set, whatever it was, because I was curious to see different worlds, you know? Okay. All right. All right, wise man, I'll definitely do that. I'm going to see if there's an audio that I have somewhere, but I'm going to search it. I hope I didn't lose that one. Matter of fact, as I'm speaking, let me check a couple of these. Not that I'm going to forget, but I did that one, and that went out there pretty much, and then they stopped showing the numbers as it grew. They were doing that on that channel. Let me see here. Let's see. It's going to be real quick. Okay. I'm searching stuff. I'm in the middle of a show. I'm really relaxed. Hold on. And the search may not be where it hits it. Let me see. Let me see. I just want to see because there's so many ways to search. Okay, it's not there, but it doesn't mean that I don't have it somewhere. Okay, and that was in, I think it was 2020 or early 2021. I think it was late 2020. So now you got me curious. Yeah, a lot of folks did not like that video. They were on that side of things. Okay. Let me see. And if it is on this other platform, I'll re-upload it. It should, even though that was a recording, it wasn't a live stream. But I always put things on different platforms. So, oh no, I'm going to search this one. I have to go scroll all the way down, over and over. If it's somewhere, I'm gonna find it. And if we can't find it, I'm gonna do another one that's gonna be even more dynamic than that one. Because I'm gonna share a little more. Because I've been approached by them. I'll say them, you know, many, many, many decades ago. And I didn't know what it was. I talked to the guys and they were really aggressive in trying to get me in it. And I picked up, let's just put it this way, I picked up on some things. I was like, because I was kind of hip to what it was. Didn't know we didn't have the internet. And it was right after the whole incident happened with the police when I got beat down by those 11 police officers. So it wasn't like I was searching, but it was like, let me see what this is all about. Maybe this is something that can protect me. And I wasn't thinking like, I want to be in the Illuminati, you know? I just thought that, well, if I align myself with something decent, which I'm not knocking some of the brothers in there who don't know, because I know a lot of them, but I happen to know, not because I'm better than anybody, but I happen to know higher up in what, you don't know what you're getting into. And I'll tell you this much. The guy who introduced himself to me, my old girlfriend and we were running a beauty salon on Merrick Boulevard. Was it 110th Avenue, whatever? It was and I'm talking open now. This is like past the time when things expired. I can talk now, right? There was a girl who, she used to do her hair. And this was back in 89. And this girl was a Jamaican girl who was a drug mule. And she had a lot of boyfriends who sold heavy drugs. And crack was still going on. We didn't deal in any of that stuff. I never dealt in any of that stuff. But she opened up this beauty salon and didn't know how to run it. Didn't know nothing about it. She had the money and everything, but she didn't know how to run it. So she's like, listen, I know you know how to get people in. I know you're good that way. And her with the head, because she was excellent with it. She said, just take, I'm going to pay up so much. I don't want to lose it. So take it over and run it. Man, we had that place packed. And people were looking at me like, oh, he's a successful businessman. But she was doing the hair. We had other stalls that we, stations that we rented out and stuff. We had a lot of good times in there, Like I said, there's things I've done that people don't even know about. I'm not saying people I know it, but like here online, I'm going to be more open because it's the past and it's realistic and there's a lot to share, a lot of wisdom, a lot of stories. So the name of the salon was Herbie's. And it was her main boyfriend she named the salon after. But people started calling me Herbie because you never saw him there. You never saw her there anymore. She washed her hands of it. We just kept it going. We can keep all the profits and pay it was like it was ours, but we didn't have to make any risk to buy equipment or anything. She just said, just run it. Because we were not close with her where we were down with what she was doing, but she had a humane side. So I'm not gonna mention her name. I wonder whatever happened to her. But so we ran the thing and putting out the flyers and get on cable TV. And they had the where you can put the ads on cable TV. That brought a lot of people. And I would talk to a lot of them on the phone and everything. And so got a lot of good business here. Had a lot of memories. Met people there. There was a video shop next door, and the guy, I won't say his name, but he had videos there, but he had a little weed he was selling out of there. And because of the crack, he never got in trouble. Cops knew that he was doing that. And he had this video game over there, Millipede, and I used to go over there and play. And because I was always clean cut, he was a little paranoid, and a couple guys that hung around. These were guys that were not on the street. Come to find out, they were family guys, and they were kind of wholesome. It's just that they sold marijuana. I'm not saying yay or nay, but look, it's legal now. But they weren't dirty guys. And so we got to know each other really good, and they got to love me. We were hanging out and everything, but I said, listen, if I hang out with you, them guns you carry, I can't. I'll meet you wherever, and don't keep anything on you. Other than that, a lot of memories, and a lot of my other friends got to know these guys. But the old guy that first approached me, he would always walk past, and he was always, I always joke about the guy on Poltergeist 2. I forgot what his name was. Was it Edwin Kane? I think it was. And he was a guy that wore all black, and he was singing this song all the time. And the moon is in his hole. Earthly thoughts be silent now. And he was out there as an old guy. Let me in. You're all gonna die in there. Let me in. Poltergeist 2. And this guy was the black version of him, except he didn't look so creepy. He was a nice guy. And one day, he'd walk real slow. he wasn't walking old slow. He's just a guy that walks slow. That I can imagine when he was younger, he would still walk slow, right? So one day he finally got a chance to greet me, and he said, "Young man, I want to say what a good job you're doing, and can I ask you something?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, is your name Herbie?" I said, "No, my name is not Herbie. You know, um, let me see here. I'm missing comments, right? Oh, the Black Boule. Yeah. We're gonna get down. I'm gonna prepare. I'm not gonna say I'm prepare for it like it's gonna be a documentary, but I'm just gonna brush up on a couple of my own experiences. And I don't take from other people. You know, I just speak from my own experiences, my own viewpoints, and just like I am now. I don't have a script for tonight's show. I'm just talking. So anyway, he walked by real slow and he put his hand up. "Hi, how are you, young man? I just want to say what a what a wonderful job you're doing." And it gave me vibes from Poltergeist because he had the same hat on, the same everything. So, you know, he told me his name, and I stood out there out of respect and talked with him. And he says, "You seem to be a seeker of light." I said, "Well, I like things, all things truth and all things." You know, he's trying to see if I was in that. You know, "Are you a traveling man?" I'm like, "No, I've been to Jamaica, I haven't been to any places." But he's trying to find out because that's that cold stuff. So he realized I wasn't in it. So he was trying to work me into talking to other guys, and I did. And when I tell that story, I'm gonna take my time with it and tell detail. But anyway, after he got me connected with these guys, that I found out that that wasn't for me. You know, not insulting anybody, but I'm sharp. I'm not high on myself. I think you can get me. I mean, even Muhammad Ali got hit in a fight and won decisively. In a fight, you're gonna get hit. In life, no matter how sharp you are, how they say it in Florida, you're gonna get got. You're gonna get got. They're gonna get you sometime. You just say, "Hey, you got me," you know? So he passed away. Might have been 3 or 4 weeks after that. And his house was on the corner across the street from the beauty salon. There was a little open lot, maybe like one house plot or you know, a little yard or whatever. And I noticed that there were a lot of cars around his house this particular Saturday, because this Saturday was going to be a big day for hair to be done, and all the girls were going to be there. And I had a lot of paperwork and stuff to do. So I'm there, but I kind of took a break and went outside, and my buddies from next door, they're like, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so passed away. Those are his grandkids and it's a lot of his family." I said, "Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that." And I was going to go over there, but I didn't know the family. I didn't want to be intrusive at this time of loss, right? People were over there, but I didn't want to be the one to do that. You know, like, "What happened? Tell me." Who wants to grieve, work up somebody's grief that way? But there were a lot of kids, grandkids, great grandkids, I found out, and they were there and they were running through the house, and they had all these books. And it made me realize I made the right decision, because I'm gonna save this for the show when I speak about this. But I saw the books, and these were the higher degrees of that thing. And I'm looking in these books that I'm not supposed to be looking at, right? It's supposed to be a guarded secret. Looking at all these demon faces and heads, look demons with horns, and I'm like, no way. It's not like, "Well, I know I'm going to die, so we put out some decoy books, so if they catch the books, we can throw them off." And when you're in that, they don't tell you everything. And when you're way up in it and you find out, you're like, "Oh man, some are not," you know. So but I happen to know some things, and I happen to have been around people and had people drop their guard, and you figure it out. Then the internet comes along, and there's a lot of things that are put out there to distract you, or people just want to hear themselves talk and say things like they know it and want to fight you over it. No, I don't do that. I think I've been pretty solid in the time that I've been online. You know, um, if I don't know something, I don't know. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. But I'm not going to guess. I'll speculate and tell you this is what I think it is, but I'm not going to sit here on a theory and try to pass it off as fact. Thank you so much. Much love and appreciation, wise man. Thank you so much. You know, that's the first super chat I got on the channel. I appreciate it. Seriously, you know. This channel's new. I'm not in it. Like I'm gonna buy me a Rolls Royce off of doing YouTube. This is what I do. And so I really do appreciate the support because I'm on a limited income at this stage of my life. So this goes right back in to what I'm doing. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, I've had a peek into so many worlds, you know. And I'm saying all this stuff now, and I will get down in it. And I might do a show like this tomorrow night, maybe once or twice a week about New York City. But if I do more than one show, then it'll be a lot of them. I want to unearth a lot of things that I saw and experienced. Another one off the top of my head. I've said this before. It may sound redundant, but remember, this is a new channel. So the new people that are here, the time that, this was back in the 70s. And we were actually all running around Times Square, whatever. My buddies a couple years older than me, so they were driving or they had their father's car or whatever. And I was always mature for my age because, you know, if there's 2 or 3 years difference, you're 15 and you're hanging out with 17-year-old. I mean, you can do that. But it's almost like a 10-year difference when you're a teenager. I don't want to hang out with no 15-year-old. I'm 17. I'm 18. I'm going to hang around with no 15-year-old. But I looked a little different. I was a little more developed physically in my mind. I mean, I was a comedian. I was a clown. I was always making you laugh. But for me, I can hang with these guys. So anyway, we were actually driving around and we were all on the west side looking around and we are highly testosteronized. I made up another word, right? There you go, Giant Game. And of course, we're driving around and we're looking at these women in the short dresses selling themselves. We never purchased anything, but when we go and do something legit, they go something to get something to eat, and it was getting late. Before you go back into Queens, come on, man, let's go over there and see what's going on. Oh, look at her. Look what she got on. Oh, my God. Look at those breasts. Look at those hips. Oh, look at the car over there. Look what she's doing. Honestly, that's what it was. And a lot of men, young men, they do that. Now, some go out there and do violent stuff and, you know, disruptive stuff. We just wanted to see. It was almost like what they call jungle habitat. And they have places like that all over the world, right? Where you can drive through a safari and the lions are right there. The tigers are right there. You see what I mean? The hyenas are right there. Well, this was our version, our urban version of jungle habitat, the nightlife. And to say it, the pimps, the real live pimps from back in the 70s and early 80s that we saw with Georgia, and Alabama, and South Carolina plates, these guys were dead. And I don't honor or respect pimps. Let me just say that. I'm saying this in a comical way. If they wore pink, they had a pink mink, pink suit, pink heels, shoes that looked like they were 8 inches tall, pink hat, jewelry, a pink vehicle, a pink Cadillac, and all the girls around them. And this is funny because I had to pee real bad. And we were in the middle of it. Let me tell you something. If you want to see the epitome of road courtesy, go drive down the street where the prostitutes are walking around half naked. Ain't nobody honking their horn. The dudes that are driving down there love the fact that it's a traffic jam because they can eyeball the women even more. And half of them are just driving around curious. They're not going to buy anything. Some will. And some are into that. There are a lot of men who are into that. It's not even just about sex. They're fascinated with this illusion of the nightlife and the lights and the women back then, especially in the late 70s, there wasn't no crack. These women were healthy, you know? And my friend just left me a voicemail. Let me see if he wants to come in. Let me see something here. I'm not even going to do this on this phone because I'm actually talking to the phone just in case there's a power outage or a blink. I call them blinks. Blink, blink, and all your stuff is off. And then you don't hear me no more. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you. What was it exactly that I said? Because I just ran out of my mouth. Oh, I can play his message here because it's the very guy that I want to have come on the show. Let me turn this up. Now, if he tells me last time he was in New York, your breath was stinking. Oh, okay, I gotta play this. Hold on, I gotta be quiet for a second because I'm hearing feedback. Hold on. Let me give him a link. I can't explain to him. Let me turn this volume down. I'm getting some feedback. He's telling me about the original Star Trek. He's a Trekkie, a science fiction guy, and he was right there with me in my adventures. I just hope and pray that he chimes in because that'll make this show a 6-hour show. It'll be more fun because he was there. Now, I don't think it's going to be 6 hours, though, because I'm not going to be up there for 6 hours, but we're going to be consistent. Okay. Let's hope he hits that link. He could just come on and talk normal like anything else. But, yeah. Now, where was I? Oh, that old school pimp thing, prostitute thing. It was a fascinating world. And it wasn't about the breasts, the boobies, and the backsides. That was beautiful. Yeah, you're a young guy with a lot of testosterone. You know, you're aroused and you're looking and whatever, but it doesn't make you, But some of the men that you saw driving around, the horns came out of these men. You don't know these guys. The Johns, as they were calling, those are the guys who are purchasing women. But you can see, I'll say it this way, not because a man is aroused and going that way. If you want to do that, that's on you. You know what I mean? There's a lot more weirder things to do. You're not hurting nobody, not beating anybody up. But to say it this way, some of them you can see the demons on them. Like that. This was their fetish. This was their thing. And as I got older and got to know different types of women, because in the older shows, you pretty much know my life. And I've always had insight into stuff. And years later, when I began to drive the dollar van after work, and then eventually full time, I met women. And there's a young lady I knew that wanted to go to Jersey. That's how it started. And she was a stripper. So I took her. I was tired. She wanted me to wait. But then she knew about 6 or 7 other strippers who wanted to come back into New York City. So I drive some in the Bronx, some in Brooklyn. It's like, oh, yeah. You say, yeah, I grew up with them. You can trust them. So maybe I can, call them for a ride if I have to go here. So I ended up taking a lot of these girls up in Boston, down to Virginia, North Carolina, and these are all strippers. And I'd stay with them for a week or a weekend, and they would pay me, Let me see here. Can you report this bad and sexist stream? Well, you must be enjoying it. Wow, this dude is back. What kind of weirdo, really and truly? You're like Eddie Long. See, Eddie Long used to talk bad about homosexuals, and he was one. And so you're saying, oh, you're the sexist stream, whatever. So what you go look at the box up at the corner and leave, right? Because your IP address is pretty much going to be the same. And when I go and look at it and find out who you are and expose who you are, you're not going to like that. I'm not just talking tough either. I got a good gang in my corner. I got hacker friends, people who have hacker abilities. So don't even try. We're talking life here, man. And I'm going to make it, I got rid of him. He'll be back. He'll make another, cussing me out. What kind of mess is that? There's some strength. You know what? I'm open in how I talk. Oh, Eddie. Oh, wait a second. Okay, I'm about to explain to him, but I just got rid of him. I'm looking down, looking all over the place. I got another Instagram open up over there too. But see, this is how it is. When you talk open and when you talk, and maybe you got pissed off when I said about the demons in them, right? When you talk open, it bothers people. It bothers a lot of people sometimes because they can't face themselves. They want to act prim and proper and come at you like you doing something wrong, but it's them who really have the problem. Not everybody, but you're going to be faceless and have all these different profiles to come on here and come at me But this person might be the one doing crazy stuff. I'm talking about what adolescents do. You can't tell me there's not a 14 or 15-year-old guy who sees a half-naked woman at that particular time in his life, and he's going to react to it. Some react more, some less. You know what I mean? That's just life. I like to talk about life. What do you think? We went down there. I'd be out there by myself, and I'd cut through one of them blocks and look at some eye candy. And I understood the tragedy involved. So it wasn't like I was some young, horny dude who had no sense. I'm like, wow, I wonder what, see, I was deep that way. I wonder what drove her to come out in the streets. I'd walk by and say, hey, muscles, or whatever. They'd say little things to me, whatever. Say, hey, beautiful, whatever. I treat them like human beings. But it's sad, too. They probably got kids at home. There's somebody's daughter, and there's no mother that holds their child when they're young and hopes for the best. Or they don't hope for the best. They hope for the best. But one day they're going to do this, and one day they're going to go to school, and they're going to be brilliant, and I'm going to treat them right, whatever, and the disasters happen. How sad is that? And then you have some women who have nobody in their corner. Men want to use them, right? And they say to themselves, okay, you want to use me? Pay me. I got bills. And I've talked to a lot of these women. And the strippers that I took around, I got to know them. Some were troubled, some knew what they were doing, and some were foolish. And I had a lot of great, insightful conversations as I drove miles and miles to different states. And, and I'm in the hotel room with them. I didn't do nothing with these women. Some of them were doing stuff with each other. Some men, oh, you want to come on and join? I'm like, no, I'm all right. I know what that's all about. I was almost like, and this is what, like 96, 97, going into 98. So we're talking 25 years ago. 25? No. What now? I'm stupid now. What, about 30 years ago, right? Almost 30 years ago. But they still looked at me as their uncle or a father figure. And so you saw what they were doing. They were in the bed, big 2 beds pushed together, some sleeping, some this, some that. Oh my God, I'm going to be messed up. My period came. We're going to be out here for the next 5 days. I'm going to be cramping. I had to hear it. There are a lot of people there with me who did that, who came to me for advice. We'd have sensible conversations. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. Matthew White, welcome on in. Welcome on in. And the press said, that Chinese gamer flew from Chicago to Florida to kill another gamer with a hammer. It's dangerous. No, really? You don't know. Whether a person believes that CERN released so many demons on the earth, whatever, or people say, well, it's nothing more happening than it's ever been. We're just hearing about it more. They're reporting on it more, right? So, could be. But to me, and we always had people who were serial killers and stuff. There's nothing new, but it just seems that the overall society is a bit more unhinged, and they're doing more stuff, and it's more common, kind of walking around now. So let me know if the sound sounds funny or sounds different. Right now, I'm just walking into the kitchen that has yet to exist. And I'm gonna tell you what I did. I'm gonna tell you what I did, but I'm gonna pull it off first. Just looking outside here, it is so, I'm telling you, it's straight spooky outside right now. Because at the high altitude, we're up in the clouds, and we did not see the sun all day today. The sun did not come out because the clouds never left, and it rained the early part of the day. And it's really thick. These are clouds. This is not some fog. I went up to take out the garbage in my own yard. I almost freaked out. It was almost at the time when I had to walk those 15 miles when the van, didn't stop. It was an express van. Either the driver didn't hear me or what. I said, okay, I'll get off at the next stop. And man, 2-lane road. Matter of fact, let me see something here. Let me see if I'll do something here. Let me see if I do something a little different here. Because I want you to see it. Let me see something here. Let me open this door and go outside. Yeah, this is spooky. I don't even think you can see what I'm actually outside now. I have a street light on the other side of my wall. I'm gonna take this banner off. But maybe you can't see how the fog is. Not gonna do this. This is dark out here. Let me see. Just give me a second. Okay, I think I can take this off. Don't be scared. You might see my face first. Then I have to flip the screen around. Okay, come on. Which one is it? Okay, I think I got it. All right, here we go. I'm just going to turn this around. You probably see me first. It's dark out here. Okay. How do I get rid of this? Oh, okay. I know what I have to do. Boom. Okay. That's one side. Let me see if I can tap this and do a solo layout. Okay, now you know my front yard. There's like a courtyard out here. We have sand, we have rocks, we have some wood that the guys are using to cut and go up higher. There's some trash wood there, there's some plants. You know, this is my front porch. You can't see it all the way because I have the lights off. It's a wraparound. We're gonna walk out here. You see the street light? You can't really see the fog, but you can see how that got me jumping. I thought that was a bat. It was a big moth. Right, so let me see if I go up here. I got one weird show, don't I? I'm walking all outside in the middle of it. I'm gonna show you one thing that we did. This is the gate that we had put in. You can't hardly see. It's 8 feet tall, 18 feet wide, and a separate door there. So you see, there you go. Yeah, let me go back inside. The wind and everything. But if I was walking out this gate down the street, you can't see anything. And look, it's one big black foggy, you know, it's crazy. Okay, let's turn this back the way. Close this off. And I'll leave it like that. So we'll put the banner back on. Good. Let me get back inside. Yeah, no. Everything is fenced off, but I'm not trying to run into a python or a king cobra either. That's far and few between. They kind of run away from you. Let me see something. Let's go back inside. We get back in the seat, and we'll keep on rapping a little bit. I'm stepping over stuff because these guys got stuff that they're working on and everything. So, you know, it is what it is. And the reason why I keep my lights off that much is because when you put them on, there's a lot of bugs that come around. Let me see. Right, don't let Batman get me. So the sound is good, right? You can hear me, right? Yeah. It's very secure. It's going to be even more secure. Trust me. I feel so secure here, though. You know, very, very safe. And this is not that kind of place anyway. You know, it's more, it's more nature and the bats and things flying around that might bite you or something like that. But it is very, very, I feel very safe. But one thing's for sure, get what you get in the daytime, because there's no walking out to the corner store or the corner bodega 2 in the morning. The village that's close by is a 20-minute walk. I'm not driving yet. And those roads, and I'm not saying I'm Superman, right? But when I had to walk about 15 miles up and this is in the mountains, and where I am, there are other houses around, right? Some a little closer, some a little further. On the other side of the mountain, I can't even see on the other side of the mountain. Now, tomorrow night, I'm going to show you a little view of that. If we can, because the clouds, see, this is not a fog. We're up with the clouds. So, you know, sometimes you can't see it, sometimes you do. When I had to walk up that road, I could only see maybe like 3 feet in front of me. And the trees look spooky. And the funny part about it was I had one bar left of power and I wasn't getting a signal, but I had some downloaded songs on my phone. And it's weird, right? Have you ever had the experience of having your phone in your pocket and it's on, and somehow the inside of your leg or whatever hits different buttons and you end up almost deleting something important? It's like, wait a second, how did I get here? Well, one of the songs that I was listening to, that it's the song on TikTok where they have these guys with this deep voice. Got to listen to it. Hoist the Colors. Anybody here ever hear Hoist the Colors? You gotta listen to that. A lot of videos like shorts and TikTok shorts, they've taken that song when they show these big ships and pirates and scary stuff. But get the one where you can see the guys singing. And there's this one black brother on there. He's got the deepest voice in the whole world. And it's and that song came on when I was out there. Oh man, like I said, I'm not Superman. I will swing my fist. I'll defend myself. But it was eerie. And I had 2 heavy bags of groceries. And I'm like, look at this. One day I'm in New York City, and look at me way up in the mountains here in Africa. Look at that. Oh man, it was straight spooky. I was so glad to get in. It took me so long to get home. The battery died out and everything. And I took a chance. I left out because I have a really heavy duty battery I keep with me that can charge several things for several, loads. And I left it home. I was like, I got a full charge. I don't need it. But my battery was sick, and the phone was losing a charge quick. So it was like, poof, nothing. And my legs were cramping up and everything. Oh God, it was so scary. But back to New York City. Let me see if I have any trolls coming on in. No, I don't. Yeah, don't let Batman get me, right? The bat that came in the house. Oh man, a bat came in the house. A bat came in the house. That's why I tell people, come here and do work, man. Please close the screen. If there's some dust, and the screen will catch the dust, and you don't want it to do that in the daytime. But there's a lot of windows in here, and I have to do a window check. When I'm by myself or Mrs. Scurv just here, we know when guys come to work and they spend the night and they get up early and they forget because it gets dark, there's no work will fly in here. At nighttime, bats ain't gonna fly in your house. No, not at nighttime. They fly in your house when they get the first hint of the sky getting lighter. And they know they're nocturnal creatures and they want to get away. And they see something in this house is like a cave on the inside. It's very large space. And you fly through a lot of dark nooks and crannies. Okay? And they go up in there and chill. And what happens is they'll sleep all day. And then when it starts to get dark, you see this thing flying around in your house. And it's spooky. It's spooky because it happened more than one time because we are where they are. We have about maybe 12 papaya trees, mangoes, pineapples, all kind of fruits, avocados, all kind of stuff. And so they love the papayas. They fly around and you hear them out there. And they're not but rats with tails. So you hear them exactly just like that, fighting. You 2 trying to bite on one papaya and they get them as soon as they get ripe. I got a papaya tree on the side. It looks like it's got about 35, 40 papayas on it. It's a lot. So those bats, and it's not ripe. When it gets ripe, the bats start eating it. So you're not going to touch the one the bats started to eat. But the daytime comes, you start snatching them down. You make juice or eat them. I got a bunch of mangoes there when they eat. But when they're in the house, they're quick and they look huge. It look like a daggone 747. Huge. And they're too fast. But I know how to get them. I don't want them things near me. But one night, I was up. I'm so glad I didn't do a show because you would have saw me dealing with this bat. I don't like them things. Look, I've walked the streets of New York City. I'm not Superman, but you carefree, you're young, you're not thinking nothing's going to happen. But a bat? I'm not dealing with that. And it's ugly too. So I open doors, I open windows, because see, they're trying to get out because it's night. You trying to sleep at night, they're trying to get out at night because they slept in your house all day. They're really tiny, but the way they fly around in the stigma of bats is spooky, and it really is frightening. But these are fruit bats. They're not like blood-sucking bats. But I had opened up all the windows late at night, couple hours. I was tired, didn't see them. You know, I was going through all the rooms and stuff. I said, he probably got out. Closed everything in. Lay down on my back. I was finally in the bed, and I was dropping into sleep fast. But I had YouTube on. I had a video on, and the phone was in my hand, and it eventually just laid down on the bed, but it was facing up. So it lit up the ceiling. Not much, but you know, a phone can light the room up. So I'm sleeping, and half sleep because there's something playing, so you're like not all the way sleeping. And I felt something tickle my chin. I opened my eyes. Could you not believe that a bat parked his behind on my face? And I'm looking at this thing eye to eye. I screamed. Yes, I did. This thing looked like it was so big. And the beady eyes and the wings, I didn't even have enough presence of mind to get my hand by my face to smack it off because it jumped off already. I just reached out beyond it. I was incoherent. I screamed loud. That little example, there was nothing because I got a big mouth. I can project my voice. So I knew this thing was inside the house. So I just barricaded myself in the room. I said, you're just going to have to starve because they have high metabolisms. They have to eat. They can go a couple days without food, but without the food and the water, they die. And they're high strung. And now I had a bat fetish. Look, I ain't going to lie. I'm scared of bats inside the house. It's scared of you, right? But it's a presence that this thing has. It's so fast. I don't know how I got a tennis racket because I don't play tennis. I've done it before. I've played tennis before many decades ago. I'll tell you exactly when, 1974 and 75 when I was upstate in the camp there. Those little rich white kids. And I have a tennis. This wasn't from back then. I don't know where it came from. So we have it, right? So the one that came before, I had it and I hit the bat. It was flying past me in the hallway. I hit it, knocked it down, and stepped on it. And one time, Mrs. Scurv, the window cracked, and one was trying to get out, but they're stupid. They're not going to, oh, I see the window. Let me go outside. They'll fly around in the room, and she got out of there. She got me. That's when you know, when you're a man, you better do what men do. I smacked it down and stepped on it. It was so ugly. But that's country life, because this is real country living up here, you know. But you can do things and everything to negate certain things. But that's why I can't wait for everything to be done. But yeah, these trolls that come on, and what was he saying? This is lewd and indecent and, you know, whatever. We're just talking life. We're just hanging out, talking life. That's what it's all about. But okay, let me see here. Oh yes, you know what's up. Talk to me, brother.
You know, I'm
AB, you know, I'm just talking about New York City and back in the day, and 40 Deuce and the West Side and 161 and we didn't mention 161 yet, South Road, and just adventures. Now let me tell everybody here how long we've been knowing each other. Well, you tell them. So we're gonna call you AB on the show tonight.
well, since 69.
Yeah,
How many
that's
years
what
ago
I
was
said
that?
earlier. 1969. Right.
That's when I came to become Queen from Harlem. Yep,
Say
that
it
is
again.
hard to believe. That's when I came to Queens from Harlem.
Right,
That's
right. Do me a favor. If there's nobody else watching the TV, just turn it down a little bit because it's picking up a lot. If it's okay.
All right. Is that good?
I want to focus on it. Yeah. We good. Yep. And I was just telling them how Queens was back in the day, praying mantis A cases, fireflies, rabbits, snakes, different things.
You know, it's funny. I
And how
was
we
I
used
was
to,
talking to the guys at work about that, and the first thing one guy said, and it's amazing what people notice and don't notice. But me and you would talk about it, but sometimes it goes over other people's heads and they don't mention it. But we were saying how
exactly.
I haven't seen a lightning bug. Well, definitely didn't see one at all this year. And I saw, probably can count how many I saw last year and so on and so forth, but not a
But you
one. Now,
didn't see them.
normally, well, yeah, this year none. And normally they appear like around June, and around this time you kind of stop seeing them so much. But I didn't see any for the month of June, and we're in July now, and nope, not a thing.
No, but remember, man, there was so much we catch them and put them in a jar. The whole yard would be lit up
You
with
don't see any
fireflies.
there? I'm sure you see them there.
Yeah, we see them here, and they're regional. They're like, it's not spread out even. It's like certain pockets. That's just the way it is here because here it's so fertile. This is basically, you have cars, you have cities, you have smog. But up in the mountains here and going out into the country, it's untouched.
Well,
A buddy of mine was telling me, that he has friends that go out and get like different plots of land. Like they'll say, they'll say an acre or acre or two in rich parts out here, and they'll go digging for gold. It's crazy, but it's true. It's so rich out here. They used to call Ghana the Gold Coast.
I think I have heard of something like that. The Gold Coast.
I've seen gold in the ground, like certain places, especially near water, like little streams, and you have the stone, and it's not like a gold chain, bright and shiny. You have to get this out, but you see sprinklings of it. Say, wait a second, that is gold. This place is so rich. But I want to get back on New York City. I want to get back on New York City. I was basically telling everybody how there was a sweetness to the underbelly back in the 70s and the 80s. And I've been very blunt. I told them, the peep shows and this and this and that. We were young, and you're curious. You want to see things. But compared to the viciousness now and just how people are disconnected, and there are good people in New York City, and all of them are not rotten. But overall, it was nice. Even in Queens, you're walking down the street. Remember we go on our Thursday night adventures? I think your work schedule had it where you were off on Thursday night. And so we would take these walks deep into Queens at different parts. And we'd always run into girls, like sitting on the steps. Or we were walking down, the time we were walking down Linden Boulevard, heading toward the Rib Shack. We had just crossed over Sutphin Boulevard. So we were heading out that way, and a limousine pulls up. You remember that, right?
It's funny. You got a memory on things. It's been a long time.
I don't forget.
The one walk I remember was when we walked from Brooklyn to Queens. I think it was the last time you said, I'm going to drive. From what I remember.
Yeah, we walked. Yeah, but the good thing, we walked along the A train route.
Yeah.
So that was a safety harness for us. It's like you're hanging out on the side of the World Trade Center when it was there, or Empire State Building, and you wash your windows. Imagine not having that harness and you're holding on with your hands or something, or there's nothing to catch you. It's a different mentality. And remember the time we were walking and we heard the thing go, boom, and the dude flew across the road, and then we heard unbelievable.
Because it was funny. I know it shouldn't have been funny, but you see the shoe flying and the person behind it.
I know that's not funny, but how come when people get hit by cars, the shoes come off?
Never understood.
And a lot of times, if it's the lace, it's still tied.
Got your shoe tied up tight in some kind of way. You come out of your shoe.
It's not funny, but I'm saying it is funny though. Yeah, and you see a shoe.
I think he got up though. I think he got up. Yeah,
because it was like he was laying in the bed sideways. He flew. He was like about maybe 6 feet in the air, and he went straight across. And we were approaching an intersection, and it was like, wait a second, you know?
But he was playing off. He was probably hurt, but shocked too of getting hit. You don't realize all that adrenaline is flowing through your body. But he
And you
probably
jump
walked
up.
off. Yeah, yep. I remember one
But
time, before I got a phone, being out there on those pay phones, I remember seeing somebody being kicked from a distance. I thought I was on the phone, but I was looking down. That was on the corner of Van Wyck and over there by, what was the name of that darn store? That was the black owned store. You asked me about it the other day. Right on the corner of
JB
Van Wyck.
Cherry.
Yeah. Standing in front of
JB
the phone booth. There was a phone booth there. So I'm standing and this is at night. And from a distance, I see what looks like somebody being kicked in the car, and the car is moving fast. But the person's kicking
I'm
the person
sorry.
on the passenger
I'm
side.
giggling tonight.
Well, it was funny. I mean, because I never seen it like. I mean, I'm saying, am I imagining things? I can see them, pulling their leg up. They're still driving perfectly straight. They're not weaving anything, but they're kicking the person on the passenger side.
What? Oh, the person behind the wheel was kicking the person on
the passenger side. And when they got to the corner, the door flew open, and the person on the passenger side flew out, rolled across the ground. The driver just kept on going, never stopped. Person got up, wiped themselves off, and walked away.
What else can you do?
I never seen nothing like the first one. The fact that they got up without a scratch, at least as far as I could see. So the
That's
crazy
embarrassing,
thing at night, it is. I mean, kicking the person and never, normally you would figure if you're driving like that, you can't keep the wheel straight. Nope, they weren't weaving anything. They, kept the car straight, going fast too, and they did it.
Wow.
But I thought about you the other day, because I'm right off 8th Avenue on 37th Street at my job, so. It's always tourists. New York still is, and it just popped up again the other day, the #1 tourist attraction in this country, as far as cities are concerned. Sometimes we give Disney World a run for the money, but every day.
But that's a different flavor, though, with Disney. You know what I mean? To me, that's a whole different category. Yeah.
But there's been a couple of times when New York beat Disney as far as attraction, and that's the #1, theme park. But there's been a couple of times when the city beat. Now, COVID has done a job and a half on, tourists coming into the city. It's not as many, but even with the numbers down, it's still #1. I just read that the other day. I guess it's because of the city. Why people? I mean, it makes sense. If you're traveling to a city, why would you go to? I mean, I can understand going to LA, but if you go there for Hollywood, you don't go there for the city. I don't know anyone who goes, I'm going to LA to see the sights. What sights are you going to see? You're going to see Hollywood. I guess.
That's right. That's right.
But New York, the city itself, is a celebrity. I forgot who I told that to. But the city, it's a non-living celebrity. But it has that flow. For the good or for the bad. I mean, we know the underbelly of it. We know it has its bad side, but shucks, a lot of cities do. And I still love the town.
But you see, when you compare it to Disney, the sole purpose of Disney is tourists. Central Florida would not be what it is, which it's not much. Look, I'm biased. I'm a New Yorker, right? I'm a super New Yorker, just like you are, because we've had more experience, not because of time, the passage of time. We've dared to go off the beaten path in our lives because there's so many people that live in New York, and there are people who never been to Manhattan that lived in Queens. And I'm going to say it this way. I'm not going to say names, but the very religious family 2 doors down from me going toward 105th, right?
Okay.
One of the brothers there starts with an R, the last name.
Okay.
You know who it is. Okay, we the house next to me and the one next to that, black family, right? And okay, you realize who it is, right? Well, there's one of the brothers there. I couldn't believe it. Older than me. His name starts with an N, so you got to know who that is too. He said, "Man, I've never been to Manhattan." I'm like, "You live here all these years, growing up from young, and you've never been to Manhattan? You can hop on the train and be there." You know what I mean? Like, then you'll never get the whole grasp of the city. You see what I mean?
Exactly.
And so they market Disney in the UK, different parts of the world, to get you to come. And then you have people who, the weather, especially the UK weather, it sucks, right? I just want to say a big shout out to Coach Certified on Instagram and all others who are here. But they come for all that, the weather, the rides, everybody gets it, right? But when you come to New York City, it like you said, it's the whole status, it's the whole allure. It's not any one reason. If you have a convention there, you want to go because, wow, I get to go to my convention in New York City. And so there's so many reasons to go there for so long that nobody has to be convinced like Disney. Oh, come to Disney. We have a new ride, Universal. And no. And then the rest of Central Florida benefits from it because of the commerce coming in. And if you remove all of that, because remember, after what happened in 911, you know, I was down there. And I saw how everything dried up. International Drive, which is not the only place in Orlando to go, but there are a lot of hotels there, and there's a whole lot of other areas to go. But it was dead. How do I know? I drove the 8 bus down there. It's the 8 bus that goes down. And that wasn't my exclusive route, but I used to do the 21, the 319 all the time. But every now and then, every 3 or 4 bids, which lasted, each bid was like, I think either 4 months or 3 months. Every 3 or 4, I would stick one in somewhere else. And I used to love to go and do the 8 route because you get a chance to talk to a lot of tourists. You network with people from all over. I pass people in my car. They live in different countries and they follow me to this day on social media. So yeah, that was a cool thing about that. And I tell you the time when you know Donnie McClurkin, right? The gospel singer.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some people that think I look like him. And I can see in certain angles, certain ways of, you know, I don't actually, you know, but there's a kind of like, you see him in certain photos. He had a concert with a whole bunch of other gospel folks at the Orange County Convention Center. And this went on for several days. So you had a lot of black church folk, didn't matter what denomination, they were in town and they were en masse up and down I Drive because they got the hotels there. You got the places to eat, you know, the stimulation rides even over there too. So this thing just ended and I was on the 8 route heading on the inbound. And all these church ladies, I mean, the old fashioned with the church hats, and they were done up, you know, because they took the trip, so they brought in their outfits and everything. One of them got on first. She looked at me funny. A bunch of them got on, and so one came up to the front. And, you know, I was kind of a smooth driver, so I saw her walking up. I didn't want to make her fall or anything. She came up. I know who you are. And she put a piece of paper with a pen in front of me. I was at the red light. Can I have your autograph? Now, you know, you could tell that she had some thick glasses on. A lot of them had, you know, their eyesight, you know, and they were up in age. And I'm like, well, how am I to sign this? Come on, boy. You know, I don't know how you got in the bus driver outfit so fast. We just saw you up on stage. Now I'm really curious. On stage. Now, I didn't, there were so many performers and so many gospel groups and gospel singers and gospel personalities and some pastors. You know, this was a big shindig for about a week in Orlando. So that's what it was. So I'm like, I only know my name, Lance. Oh, and she tapped me on the shoulder. Come on, I'm not going to tell nobody, but if you're going to act like that, then all of a sudden she went back and about maybe 8 more came. Come on, Donnie, sign the autograph. I said, Donnie.
I'm surprised they didn't ask you to sing. Sing for us. Come on, sing for us. We're waiting. Give that man a microphone.
Oh, man. Imagine that.
We saw you singing. Oh, man.
Hit a note, right?
So
man.
She thought you were going to be driving. What if it was him? Now he would drive. He just finished doing a concert. Now he going to drive a bus, the city bus now.
What's the logic in that though? See,
Mhm.
they thought it was an Oprah Winfrey style prank.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, get on the bus, and and what the lady say? Oh, we know they got some cameras around here. We know we're gonna be. What show we gonna be on? They dolled up their face, and I said,
Pranks.
"There's no show." And some were actually mad. I'm really disappointed in you because we came down here just to hear you. And some got on and they're like, "No, that's not him. That's not him."
But
And
that
some were
that's what
determined.
I mean. That would be a very tiring prank. If you were on stage performing, now you're gonna get on the bus. You think you'd be worn out. You that's what you would think. It's like you get the energy to perform and then drop the bus. But oh well, that's what you
Right.
would think.
And this was toward the end. It was a whole week thing. So this was toward the
Mhm.
end. So, and then you're dealing with fans. I mean, of course, it's a religious thing, but they're going to be fans of you. So it's
Mhm.
like, I'm so disappointed in you. I thought you were a man of God. So I got a bad rap for Donnie McClurkin, right? They went home and told.
We saw
Imagine
you
that.
we saw you driving that bus. We knew it. He didn't even want to sing for us. Yeah, that messed up.
After just supposedly singing, right? You want
Mhm.
to do it again. You see, we can be so rude, right?
You
Poor Donnie
preach for us
McClurkin.
too. Oh
They not
man.
have thought them ladies would lost their mind. Somebody repeated that story or something. Yeah, Donnie McClurkin was out
Mhm.
there driving the bus. He act like he wasn't him. Wouldn't even give me an autograph.
Mhm.
But
Lucky we see you do anything else. He's a pervert. I saw what he's doing. we, we saw what he was doing. Gotta be messed up. You know adventures on that bus. I'm pretty sure you had a lot of adventures on that bus.
oh man, I haven't even. I'm going to be talking a lot about that, and I had some old episodes called Bus Stop Confessions, and I actually had some footage with some of the people that I'm not on the bus driving and videotaping, but I
Mhm.
would get to certain layover points, and I had this tiny little camera, and I would never sneak anybody, but there are people that I'm talking to, and eventually a lot of the folks realized I was heavy into social media because they, oh man, that's the bus driver. Hey man, I saw you. You do a talk show, and wow, you deep into this thing. So the word got around. And so if I'm on a layover, they would talk about maybe a show or something they saw from the night before. And we'd talk and they bring up some points. And there were some characters out there. I say, hey man, let me record you, man. I want to, what you just said, I want you to, no. You can't do, but they would do audio. You know what I mean? So either way, it would get up and there was some funny ones. And there was a dude that his name was Randy. And he called himself Big Randy. And this guy, he had to be, I see about 10 years older than me, or maybe 5 years older than me, but there was something wrong with him. This guy was huge, not muscular. He just a big farm boy, a big man, just a big, strong guy. He had a belly, but he wasn't muscular, but he wasn't fat also.
Was
And
Husky?
his belly, say it again?
Was Husky?
Yeah, he was strong.
Yeah.
He was strong. Oh yeah, Landon. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna download those and bring them back and take them. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I still have to. I hope that one is on there. I hope that one is on there. But he was loud. He would never talk soft. He's one of them dudes you can never have come in your house. And even if you tell him, "Hey, bro, everybody's sleeping. They got to get up early." Oh, okay. Hey, man, you got a nice house. He's like that. He's also the
Mhm.
type I could tell go in your bathroom and stink it up. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Oh man, I dropped a load in there. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing funny. I didn't hear you flush, man. I know, leave your house and you got to go clean up. But anyway, he was loud. He was loud. And he loved to put his hands on people. Not like some sexual thing on a woman, because he never put his hand on women. But
Mhm.
it was always this thing that he's trying to prove how strong he is without saying that.
Mhm.
And he was always, and his eyes were always wide, like he was snorting. But you can tell he was on some type of medication. he had some kind of mood swing, but it was always, yeah. And he would always say his name when he saw you. Like if he knew you, he'd say his name. Big Randy. Like he's coming out on stage announcing who he is or something. I noticed that about him. Hey man. And he noticed me like on the layovers or by myself. I always had a book. I had my phone out looking at it, but I always have a book that I'm reading. So I'll be there sitting there, especially a few minutes before it's time to go. I'll brush up on the thought, meditate on something I'm trying to learn. Yeah, man. You a scholar. You an intellectual. You was a smart black man. But he was pretty tall. And he was, who can I compare him to? He was like, he looked like one of them big ex-heavyweight champs that retired 5 years before. Still big and strong, but a little older. And then he would like, he shake your hand, he squeeze your hand hard, and he's looking right at you to see if you're like, ow. And then he, you know, he'd grab you, hey man, and hug you, but he'd lean his body weight. This guy had to be like about 320 pounds. So he'd lean on me like that. I'm little to him.
That's a big boy.
And you know, he's a big guy, and always loud. He had an air of danger about him. And you said to yourself that, dang, I hate to fight this guy. I don't walk around intimidated, but I don't walk around thinking I'm the toughest guy in the world. But if you have to throw, I'm gonna throw. So he's like, man, you look like you kind of strong there, man. You look like you got a little bit of muscles there, man. So he had to prove to me that he's stronger than me, right? So he's like, you used to do something. You used to do something, didn't you? What were you, a football player? I said, no. Were you a boxer? No, because I wasn't. We used to go to the boys' club, and me and, you know, I don't going to say the name, but you know who they are. And I love boxing. So I know a little bit, but I don't know everything. But people think I am that lots of times. Then they, well, you used to lift weights or something. I never told them anything I did. But he's like, yeah, man, well, you know, I used to get down with the fighting, you know. And this dude hauled off and smacked me in my face with an open hand. So within a second and a half, I punched him in his. Now he's grabbing his mouth. Oh, see now, I didn't do that. See, he's the kind of guy either want to provoke something. Now I'm on the job, I can get in trouble for that. But then again, he's smacked. Right? So now he looked like he really want to fight. Now I got this big farm dude, man, 320 pounds tall, with a little belly, a big belly, but it wasn't like it was overtaking him. He was just thick in the middle. But he was strong, right? Oh, now see, I got to show you something. That's like, oh my God, I'm on the job. I got to get on the bus. I'm gonna scrape my knees and elbows, and if we get to the ground, he's bigger than me. I can't let him get on top of me, so I got to be faster than him. So he lunged at me, man. I got him on videotape, not doing that, because we became buddies after that. So I knew a big guy. He's slower than me. I knew he was about to throw his right, so I stepped to my right. So he had to reset his feet to throw me, to hit me the punch, but I'm looking for his left also. And I ducked under it because he's slow, and I punched him in the face 3 more times and backed up. Now he's cussing, he's mad, the people there laughing at him, and he's embarrassed. Oh, MF, I'm gonna hurt you now. Why you punch me? Like you didn't smack me in the face, which is like a punch. Yeah. And it caught me in the eye a little bit. I'm blinking my eye, and you know. So here I am in a bus driver outfit, uniform, the bus right there, passengers coming off. Oh, the bus driver about to get his behind kicked. Just that quick. I'm thinking about doing my last run and going on home, getting something to eat. Now I can see now there's going to be a police report, and I'm not going to lose. I don't care how big this guy is, right? So he tried to run straight and had his arms open. This guy is so imbalanced, like he wanted to hug me, but it wasn't a hug. He wanted to just grab me and wrestle me. You know what I mean? So I just ducked side. I just ran sideways. I ran from him a little bit. I kept the distance. So I said, so what you want to do, man? It's already done, man. It's already done. We're going to get down tonight. And then he started saying, I never like you anyway. I'm like, he was trying to provoke a fight. So I said, okay, come on. I got look. I don't want to say the N-word, but I had this big nigga coming after me. He might as well have had boots and an overall like we on the farm, man. And he got louder. I'm gonna F you up. You hear me, nigga? I'm gonna F you up. Now I got scared because I said this guy's really on some kind of medication. I tried to put the garbage can between me and him. I tried to put the little bus stop seats. I tried to keep something between me and him, like he's a lion or a tiger. You know what I mean? You know, he was hell bent. I'm gonna F you up now. MF, I'm gonna F you the F up. Then he kept saying his name, Big Randy. That's what it scared me. This guy was off the deep end now. So my thing was to get, so as I was running around, I told everybody, get on the bus, get on the bus. I heard you. You want everybody on the bus because you're going to try to close the door on me. So I'm like, he was a predator. So he got closer, but I was still out of his range. He got me in the face again. He punched me in the face. But I knew that when his fists are out, he's not protecting his face. So it was like, boom, boom. And I kind of lunged at him with the punch. I missed him and then hit him in the face with the elbow and he fell back. As soon as he started, his arms were out, like going backward, like, you know, when you're in gym class, right? And they want you to warm up and you put your arms out to the side and you do like a little windmill with him. And make him go forward. But he was doing it back and he started falling. And he was saying, oh, hell. Oh, Big Randy. And he fell. Man, I jumped on that bus and I had to lift it up. Had to take the parking brake off. Had to take it out of neutral and put it in and drive. And he was already grabbing the doors of the bus, trying to rip them open, and I drove off. Oh, I could see him doing, Big Randy. I said, I got to watch out for this Negro in the streets now. So I got to watch out for him. Say it again?
So how'd you become friends after that?
Well, he saw me again, and he was looking for me too. And there was nobody because it was a stop called Washington Shores. It wasn't the main downtown stop. It was almost like a point where all the buses can line up when they have to make transfers. So they would make us do that. Like if you had a bus coming through at a certain time, and I had a bus, I had to wait for you if you weren't there. All the buses would have to get there regardless of the time point, unless it was the last one, right? We try to work it in that way because folks are transferring to go to work. So we didn't have to use the radio for that. We just knew, okay, all the bus stops have to be filled up. So I made sure when I went through that neighborhood, I would come late, not much late, but 5 minutes late, so that I would see him if I had to transfer any passengers, I could still make up the time. So one day I was there and I picked up some passengers and he saw me and he started running toward the bus. Hey, I want to ride the bus. I know he wasn't trying to get on that bus. He didn't have to. He was going home, but he said that. And I pulled out. And one of the supervisors called me, why did you leave that passenger? And I said, well, listen, I got to tell you what happened. He was real cool because I didn't report the incident. We had a fight and I didn't report it. They could have got me in trouble. But I had some cool supervisors. Man, don't worry about that, man. Just kick his behind on your own personal time. He'll leave you alone. So one day he was out there talking to a bunch of guys and they knew me from the jail when I worked there. They said, there go that effort right there. They said, man, you don't want to mess with him. That's Scurv. Who? What? Ain't that vitamin C deficiency disease? He wasn't dumb. That's scurvy. So he was going to come at me. And I was just, in my mind, I'm like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to have to fight this guy again. You know, so I'm standing there. I said, and I told him, he's walking toward me. I said, we can do this again. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be worse. I told him I was tired of it. I'm not going to sit here and be on my job in the street driving and watch it. Every time I come down around the neighborhood, he's going to fight. I never had a problem like that because I know a lot of guys who were inmates who we had aggressions toward each other. We got cool. I was cool with everybody out there. So I had the whole neighborhood behind me. So he's standing there, he said, man, I'm going to F you up for real though. I'm gonna catch you by yourself. And so the guys that were out there, they started coming toward him, like, yo, you ain't gonna do nothing to him, man. Scurv is mad cool, man. When I was locked up, my grandmother died, he let me get extra food. He was talking to me. The other one came out the shadows. Yeah, I was like, man, I got this love. Like 8 dudes who were hanging around, and they weren't gonna let it happen. Although at this point, I already knew what to do with this guy. He's big, but I was like, all right. But I'm like, I'm too old for this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not in shape like I was when you knew me bodybuilding and stuff like that, because muscles don't make you a better fighter, and I'm not a fighter. I mean, you saw me get my butt kicked over there by Shelton on 105th Avenue when I was real young, but I'm different now. We had the boxing gloves. But yeah, this guy was big. He was slow too. So after that, he humbled himself and he came to apologize like about a week later. And it was late at night. Hey man, I just want to apologize. I mean, just stay right there. Don't come no closer. Why, man? I want to give you a hug, man. I want to shake your hand. I said, no, man. I had to put my arm out. Stay right over there. And look, he wanted to rile up on that. He said, man, I respect you, man. I heard a lot about you in these streets, man. I didn't know. It wasn't me. It was the people he knew that said, if you do something, we're going to get you. Because I found out later on, he had some kind of name tag on or something, like over some job or whatever. So I Googled his name. It was some really unique last name. And I Googled his name. This guy, he kidnapped people. He molested children. Yeah. Him. Big Randy. Yeah. Big Randy. But he was humble. And I think he was intimidated because he was a guy who, you can be uneducated, but very intelligent. And with him, he was not educated and he wasn't so intelligent either, but he wasn't a dumb guy, And when he saw me reading books and he heard me talking, because sometimes the medication he was on something that had him down too. Because he would, hey man, Big Randy. He said it low, get on the bus, sit down, don't talk to nobody. But what it was that he was intimidated because he viewed me as somebody, there are a lot of guys who, unfortunately, they may not be able to read, they may not be able to write, you understand? And it's like, if you can do that well, they're intimidated because he saw some stuff of mine online and, hey man, you a heavy dude, man. You a heavy dude. Plus you know how to fight. I'm like, I'm not a fighter, man. Well, look how big I is over you. And you handled me. So he was like my best ally. And then, people would come on the bus, that man there, that's a bad man right there. I didn't ask for him to say that, but there are a lot of guys I know that were locked up and that's their Achilles heel. They're very intimidated by that. It's just like with anything else. Like if you're weak in certain areas, and a lot of folks are ashamed about that. And there was a guy who would read the schedules of the bus upside down, but he would ask me everything about the schedule. I'm like, well, it wasn't funny, but I'm like, I see you reading it. Yeah, man, but I'm asking you. He had attitude. He was defensive about it because I thought about it that this guy felt bad about himself not being able to read. So it made me look past a lot of things and not assume that everybody can do the same thing. There were a lot of people who just couldn't read, or, they were locked up, or they had drug problems. And, it got bad when a lot of people saw me online because they said, like they thought I was going to be souped up or something, or like all like my nose up in the air and all that stuff. I'm not like that, But yeah. That's some funny stuff on the bus. I'll tell you some bus stop confessions, what I called it. I'm going to get back into that, doing that again, because I have all those stories in my head. I got to let them all, and more than I really ever told about. Another thing is that you'd be surprised at the amount of homeless people that ride public transportation. Now, New York City is not a shocker, but it's just like so different because when you go through places like Disney and the tourist stuff and the family friendly this and that, whatever. And then you see homeless people. There's such a stark contrast. And it's just very like, it's
Well,
unsettling, you know?
it was like that up here too. But because there's more, obviously a larger transit system, you couldn't get away from them. Bus, train. I mean, and going back to what you were saying before about COVID at its peak, and that was weird. The first few weeks after COVID got to be as really bad, to go into Midtown and Times Square, it looked like something out of apocalyptic horror movie, sci-fi movie.
Oh
Nobody
man,
got there.
yeah, I want you to talk about that, about near your job and what they're doing there, and the drugs and stuff. Maybe tell me. You can tell me again
Well,
because a lot of folks here didn't hear it.
but I would say, but before you had mentioned about the COVID at the beginning when I should have recorded. I didn't even think about it at the time because it's funny when standing in Times Square, it's like something out of a movie. You just seeing paper blowing down the street, nobody out there. Like, this is perfect to actually film scene for a movie because there was nobody out there. That was weird. You
Wow.
never seen Manhattan empty. Nobody was out there. And that went on.
What time of day was this? What time of day is this?
This was daytime. 3 in the afternoon.
You mean on a
Nobody
regular basis, or just this particular day you're talking about?
Well, this was when COVID was at its peak. I mean, now it's back to its old self again. But then,
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It looked like that.
Yeah.
Never seen the city empty. Like, since we were kids, we never saw that before.
No, never did.
I took it out of the movie. But
That's
now,
wild.
yeah. But then it seemed like the homeless thing really took over in between with them being on the train because people weren't riding the trains and they knew it. So people got comfortable with taking shopping carts and rolling onto the subway cars. And when you did go to work in the morning, the whole train.
Wait a second. Shopping carts on the subway?
Yeah, they would go to the supermarket and get a shopping cart, fill it up with all their belongings, and then some kind of way get it down to the subway and be on the train. You try to get on the train in the morning with 3 or 4 shopping carts.
That freaked me out.
Oh, yeah. Nobody was riding the train, so they took over. And of course, since they were riding the train back and forth all night, they had to go to the bathroom. Just go in the corner on the subway and do what they got to do on the train. Yeah, and they were
on the train.
It was out of control. Yeah, it was out of control.
So if you're not looking, you go and step in something.
Yeah, they got a piss right on the subway car. They didn't care. They took the train.
Man,
that's before the.
I mean, I've seen that before, but not en masse. Because it's always like that. You'll see a subway car that's empty in a rush hour, and you say, "Man, look at all them seats. Let me go in there." And it could be somebody on the other end, and that smell hits you. You're like, "Whoo! I'm out of here."
Yeah, see that, and that would be, and that still happens occasionally. But no, I'm talking about you get on the train will roll in, and remember, the last stop where I was getting on, or where I get on, is Parsons Jamaica Center. So that's the last stop of the evening. The first stop, on how you look at it. So the train rolls in the morning, and you just, the doors open up, and that whole car might have nothing but homeless with shopping carts in it. I mean, just totally took over the car. That's not counting the funky smell that comes out from in there. Yeah, but that's how it works. But the city cracked down on it when they realized that nobody was using the trains but them. But the system still had to run, so they were doing their normal routes back and forth. And so they said that's it, no more. And they started shutting the city down. I don't know if you remember. The subway was shutting down at 1 o'clock all over the city. If you were any part of the city after 1 in the morning, you were stuck there.
Are you serious? You mean every train, every one?
So they can clean up the trains at night. So they had to wipe down. They had to do the whole 9 yards, wipe down the seats, mop the floor, the whole thing, and they would do that from 1 in the morning to I think 5. I think 5.
Wow.
Then the system. That's the only time.
Well, if you had to be to work at 5 or 6, chances are you didn't have a way to get there.
Well,
maybe you had to leave at 4, 4:30.
Yeah. Well, the longer. And remember, people were not working outside. They're working from home.
That's true.
Even I was
That's true.
So they didn't have to go. But as they started loosening up on that, then well, like I said, my sister, who was out there for a while, got caught a couple of times in Coney Island. I don't remember how she ended up in Coney Island. With that situation where she couldn't, she called me up. Oh, I can't go nowhere. I'm stuck. The train is not running for the rest of the night. That's a miserable feeling. Like, you're in a part of town.
I'm not laughing, man. I don't know. Everything is funny to me tonight. I'm not laughing, but that's. I know New York, man. I know New York, man. Come on, man. That's bad. That's rough.
Where we are and where Coney Island is.
Right.
Well, one of the guys from work is calling me. Listen, hold on a second. Hold on.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I know major cities: Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles. I know they all have, issues, but there's something about New York City that when things happen, it's different. It's straight different. The people there, whether they're downtrodden or not, the things they do, and I don't know why. I think I got the wrong charger here. Because I'm going through my phone and it's down to 3%. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you.
You hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
For some reason now, this thing, it connected my friend. I told him to call me back because I don't know what he was trying to say. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I don't know why. And it's funny, we were on the phone. I was on the phone with him and we were talking. So I said, no, you couldn't hear us, but we could hear you. I don't know why that happened that way. I took his phone call and it's instead of putting you on hold, it had both calls on at the same time, and yet I could hear everything you're saying. Anyway, I guess he'll call back.
I just want to continue, a dialogue while you were gone, so you heard that. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I'm going through my phone just in case there's a blink of a power outage which shuts everything down and I'll have to come back on again. With the program I use, if I was to get shut off, you can still talk and everybody would hear you and stay connected. I would have to come back on. And for some reason, I'm going through my phone just to make sure that if it cuts off, I'm not cut off. But it's not charging. It's down to 3%. And I had it plugged up. So I know something's up with this battery. I got to change this battery. I can't even do it tomorrow. I got somebody coming here for an estimate. But so if this thing goes down to 2%, I might have to end this because I don't want it to end.
Shucks, I'm not that far off either. Hold on a second. I want to see where I'm at. I'm down to 44%. I still got time, but
shoot.
But yeah,
give me 20%. I'll borrow 20% from you. I'll pay you for it.
But what I was saying before about how my sister got caught overnight, but I sent the cab for her. I sent the Uber because she was already in Brooklyn, so it wasn't like she had to come all the way to Queens. But
right.
Because of her condition, I think one of the bus drivers looked at her. I mean, one of the cab drivers looked at her and went, "No." Call me back and went, he left me. So I was trying to sleep that night. It was like, it was after 2 a.m. I'm trying to get some sleep.
I'm not laughing, man, but I'm saying the way you saying it is funny.
I said,
you trying to sleep that night.
Yeah, I'm like, you called me talking about you trying to, but I mean, I called another cab and they came and got her and took her, where she was. Yeah. But that was an adventure, between 1 and 5 or 1 and 6 that, you could not, if you were someplace and you didn't have enough money, and that's another thing too, nobody was paying for the train. So it wasn't like they had to worry about paying for it. The problem is, once that happened to this day, there's people who don't want to pay for the train. They act like they're supposed to get on the train for free. That's why MTA was complaining that it needed $15 billion, whatever it was that they said it needed, and even now they're saying there's still not enough money to get them back to where they were pre-COVID.
Yeah.
But it's funny. So nobody was, and when the buses roll up, you got on the back because the bus driver didn't want to he didn't want to catch anything. That's exactly how all MTA buses did it. Did they do that when you were driving?
Well, I stopped driving in 2019 before everything came around.
So before it happened, literally just actually it was already here in 2019, but nobody knew what it was. But Yeah, so how they did it was, how many months? Like 4 months. The buses would drive up. They don't open the front door. They only open up the back door. Nobody paid, and that's the problem. People got used to that.
Wow.
They wasn't collecting them. Same thing with Long Island. You can go anywhere in the city for free. Long Island Railroad, Metro North. You just go and get on. And with Long Island Railroad, the ticket people, they weren't on the train, so you just
Wow.
get on. Yeah, so you take your seat and you go wherever you have to go, and you didn't have to pay. Nobody paid for anything for that 4 or 5 months, whatever it was. But you could go anywhere you wanted for free in the
Amazing.
city.
I didn't
I
know
don't know
that.
about I don't know about Amtrak, but I know Long
Right.
Island Railroad because they put us in Long Island for a while. So for the first
Hmm.
week or two, when they finally put us back to work, we didn't pay to get on Long Island Railroad. We just got on the train and get where we had to go. A few weeks after they
Wow.
started doing that, then they would send one ticket person down there. He may collect money or not. If he didn't catch you, if you got off the train before, well, he just missed out. I mean, that still happens now. But yeah, for like 4 or 5, and they did that so long. People, like I said, people got comfortable with that. Well, they didn't pay, and to this
They're
day
used to it.
now, yeah, they got used to it. So
Well, it's the same
same.
thing. Like people. No, go ahead. I'll say it to you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, even now in the suburb, right? Everybody jumps the turnstile to the point where, like I said, at Jamaica Center, they had to start putting cops / National Guard there in the morning, and
What?
they're there now. Yeah, because they said they were losing too much money. Because it got so ridiculous with people not paying that they opened up the gates to go through. Now, because they had those gates on the side for people who were a
Right.
little old and they couldn't go to the turnstile. So you open up the gate. Well, the guys had learned how to open it up and leave it open, and they were charging people to go through.
Oh no.
Yeah, charging $1, $2 to go through.
Wait.
Or
Regular civilians
yeah,
or
this guys, people always find a way to hustle. So, so they would stand there, open up the gate, and like you want to go
only in
through,
New
come on,
York?
go ahead, and charge people $1, $2, whatever it is. And they did that, and my friend told me I think only recently as he started paying to get on the train, because he said it was one guy who was making his money every morning doing that, like he owned that. He just stand there, open up the gates, and charge his $2, so he was making money. And all the way to recently, I forgot to ask him as he started paying because he was doing that. We're in our, let's see, next month, or was it this month? I think it was this month now. It's been 4 years since COVID. Well, since we started, working in the office again. Because before, for a little while, we were working from home. We were getting paid to do nothing for a week. It was 1 week on, 1 week off. So 1 week we sit home. For in the
Sweet.
beginning, we were, hmm?
I said that's
What
sweet.
happened? Yeah, and in the very beginning, we didn't have to go to work. So and we still get the paycheck. But they're saying, well, you guys got to handle the mail. There's no way we're going to keep paying you and to do nothing at home. So that went on for like
Right.
a month, and then we had to come into work, and then the schedule was 1 week on, and well, they split the crew up. Half of us will work 1 week, the other half of us the other week, and we can stay home. Then they said, okay, same thing. We can't pay you to stay home and do nothing. You're getting a check when you're
Wow.
home. So then we had to start coming to work. That caused problems. That caused arguments because once we started having to go in there regular, then people started catching COVID. People did die on
Oh
our
no.
floor. And I don't know about the other departments, but on the floor I worked on, people did get sick.
Right.
A few people did pass away from it. One guy, he lost his wife. He was okay, but the problem is some people became carriers, and he
Right.
took it home. He took it home to her, and she was,
Oh
remember,
no.
a lot of people who had it, if you were overweight and didn't take care of yourself physically, you paid for the price by either having to go to the hospital and be on the machines. Unfortunately, it ended up killing his wife, and so
Oh
now
man.
he's been by himself now since that time. I mean, he's about to retire. We're the same age,
Right.
but yeah, yes, but it's been 3 years now since his wife has been gone, 3 or 4 years, something like that. But unfortunately, that's what happened during that period of time. But we argued about it, and since we're a union, we had our meetings about it, but they did not bulge on that. And their point was, you handle physical mail. So you cannot stay home and the mail piles up. Somebody got to do it. And while
Right.
all the other departments to this day, other than the mailroom, has a 1 week on, 1 week off. We're the only department that's been there every day since, well, 3 years. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
going on 4 years. But everybody else had great schedules and still do. In fact, I don't think they're ever going to go back to a normal schedule where everybody's there at the same time. They talked about it, but people, they still use it as an excuse. Well, COVID's still out there, and maybe we might still catch some. So right now they're going with it. There's no more talk of. In fact, because a lot of companies, it works for a lot of companies that people, because they can work from home. I mean,
Right.
people have gotten so hit with it that I know a friend of mine told me he went on vacation and he was in, I forgot where, he was in some island or something like that. And sure, no, I think it was Atlantic City. I'm sorry. He said he went to
Right.
the pool, and who's he see at the pool? One of the people from work. I said, "What are you doing here? I'm working." He said, "How you?" But they had a laptop, so they would do that work. Yeah, and a lot of people to this day, people still do. I hear so many stories about people telling me they have to go shopping, go to the store. They'll take their laptop with them, or they don't know. I mean, they may
Wow.
check. I mean, if you're not on the keyboards for a certain amount of time, I was told that they will call and say, "What are you doing?" But most people have
Right.
been doing this so long now that they've gotten slick. They know how to do it, so they don't get caught.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
so, but
Oh
yeah,
man.
most people, those people love the schedule. They don't have to come in every
Right.
day. They get their 1 week off. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but unfortunately, everybody handling paper, handling mail like me, and if you're in the mailroom, you had to be there every day, and so that
Right.
caused problems, and people want to argue, and some
Yeah,
people
because
got,
like, how do you get this time off and we don't get it?
yeah, they're saving
But
money
so
because they're
many
not spending
people,
car fare. Hmm.
right? And so many people don't want to go back to work. They got spoiled
Yeah,
on different
they're not
jobs.
going back. Yeah, they're not going back. In fact, the city,
This
what they're
thing
going to
messed up a
do
lot of
is
people.
it did it. Well, it changed. It changed the way people think. It changed everything. Destroyed relationships. It did everything it could possibly do. So
You're
what the
right.
city's going to do with all that empty space, because a lot of those office buildings are empty. So instead of
Right.
them going to waste, they're going to convert them into apartment buildings. It's already begun. Because there's a housing shortage, so they figure, what, to get some of these people off the street and have somewhere to live, um, they'll convert those empty apartment buildings. I mean, office buildings. So they already
Mm-hmm.
begun to convert office buildings into apartments. Some of them will be two-way, half apartment buildings, half office, but literally is a lot of empty buildings is not being used because the companies now have gotten used to people working from home, and they prefer it. It works for them. They're still making money. Now, if they were losing money,
True. True.
they would probably
Yeah.
push
True.
more. But and they did. But people like, we don't want to come back. We don't want to come back to
So
work in
is it
office.
true? Is it true about the rent caps where for a time landlords can't raise the rent?
Yeah, but that was only
You
for
hear
a short
anything about
period of
that?
time. Yeah, but that was only for
Oh,
a short
okay.
period of time. Shucks. Now,
Okay.
once people were able to start raising it, they just did it again. I don't know what my rent's going to look like at the end of the year, but they just approved another rent increase. So that's like the third one in the last few years. So
That's too much.
it's going to be interesting. And it's funny. I don't know how they do that with a straight face. You know, asking for an increase, knowing how people are complaining, they can't pay it now, and it was approved.
Exactly.
But it was approved, so I'll see what it looks like in December when mine is due.
But
But
it's
just
almost like they have no regard for the middle class. And it's like they're trying to squeeze them out. They don't give a daggone about the lower class. And I don't want to say lower class because none of us are lower class, but I'm just saying the ones who are not making money downtrodden. But it's like they're trying to squeeze people out.
yeah, well, the landlords will say, well, we're trying to maintain the buildings. I mean, they got excuses, and I'm not saying not all of it is it's a lot of it's
Right.
probably
Because the
legit.
taxes go up and different things. I understand they have to, negate those taxes going up and stuff like that. But taxes in certain areas are going up and places are so expensive. Like they couldn't believe, like I tell folks out here how much rent is in certain parts. You can go to a place that may not be as pristine and pay a little less, but it's still expensive. You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna finish.
And yeah, I was telling some of the guys that here that The last apartment that we had before we moved into the house here was $2,600 for the whole year.
Mm.
A 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, another half bath. It was all right. Wasn't all that, but it was all right. But still, $2,600 for the whole year. It was some saving fools, right? But I was letting them know that you can get something small out there in Manhattan or whatever, and it's way double that sometimes. It depends on the area. I understand that, but they're like, wait, and for the month,
Mm-hmm.
3,000, 4,000 for the month, and you may have to walk up 8 flights. You know, rats and roaches. I'm not saying everybody's living like that. I'm just saying that, you know, people are so grateful just to have something, but it's like they're hanging on the edge, on a string.
Well, it's interesting because you know, now that, and it was 2 weeks ago, the mayor, I forgot how many $1 billion that they're dedicating to quote unquote affordable housing, and that, as I told you before, that Jamaica, well, Archer Avenue is going to start changing, and Jamaica Avenue is going to change. They start building these Manhattan style buildings, but
You were
there's no
telling
way
me.
to go. You can't go out because we're on islands, so you got to go up. Unfortunately, places like Jamaica, is going to suffer. I won't say suffer, but that's going to be one of the places that changes because
Strange.
there's going
It's
to be
going to be
so much.
strange.
So it's going to be strange. Like I said, because right now the tallest buildings in the Jamaica area are the hotels, which is weird. They stand out because they're more than 10 stories high or a little bit higher than that. But
Right.
everything else is, average 2 stories. There's nothing more than at 3 stories top
Right. I
in
know.
Jamaica Avenue. But
Mm-hmm.
now there's 1 and 2 buildings that are 6 stories. And like I said, if you're standing on Arch Avenue looking down towards Sufton, there's 2 hotels that are over there. They're not even hotels anymore. They converted those to shelters because there's so many immigrants that came in. That's a whole other story.
Got it.
Because it's funny when, a lot of people moved out of the city because obviously it's too high for them to stay here. So over 300,000 people moved out. But you know something? Over 300 something thousand immigrants came in and filled it out. So New York's population never goes down much. And they said in general, in the whole country, 8 million people have come in here from South America. That's more than the population almost as much as the population in the city.
Wow.
And matter of fact, that's more than the population of Venezuela, they said, has come into the country. And we got actually, yeah, it's more than 300,000 people come in. And it's weird too, because 300 something thousand people moved out. So, but it equaled out. Yeah.
Wow.
And they still come in by the busloads every single day. And that gets people angry too, because they are putting them in nice places that people here couldn't get.
They couldn't get.
The Roosevelt Hotel, which was a fancy hotel that when COVID came around, and there weren't any tourists to go to it, they closed it up. But once all these immigrants came, they decided, well, they opened it up for them to go. So that was making native New Yorkers angry. They're like, these people staying in a fancy hotel. We can't even see it. And I mean, I'm not blaming them. I mean, everybody deserves to have somewhere to be, but they didn't like the food, so the city was talking about giving them credit cards so they can go buy the food that they like. You know how annoying
They
that is, and
catering
how
to
bad.
them.
Yeah, but at the same
But you know
time,
what I think? I'm just gonna say it real quick. You know what I think? I think they're letting them all in, inviting them on in, fattening them up for the kill. If something jumps off as far as awards concerned, they're gonna be the first ones drafted. To me, that's what's gonna happen.
I wouldn't be
They'll be the
surprised.
first ones. You want to be over here? We did this for you, or just leave out the country and go back if you don't want it. But you're going.
Well,
You're going.
what else they want? And another thing they want them to do is they want them to work so that they can pay taxes. The city wants the taxes. Right now, they're not working. I mean, I understand as young women, every day they got their kids, and sometimes babies tied up on their back, and they walk through the train selling candy, chocolate, chocolate. And nobody wants candy. I mean, early in the morning they're selling candy. I get it; they're trying to survive, but I mean, they took over now. Something now. I mean, Jamaica Parsons and the
Wow.
First, they started off with a little bit of fruit, right? I think they were selling strawberries. Then the next one I knew was tomatoes. They got a whole fruit stand out there now. Now they spread to both entrances now. I mean, and again, I know people trying to do what they need to do to survive.
No,
Now,
we
one
know
guy,
that,
though,
but I'm just saying, I'm picturing this, and this is funny.
they just totally took over. Like I said, it started out with them just selling strawberries. Now they got almost every fruit. It's a store out there, and I bet you they're out there 24 hours because I don't see anybody moving. I mean, I'm obviously I'm not out there now, but there's no way you're gonna move all those fruits back and forth. In the beginning they were selling them out, and maybe they had some bananas out there, and I could see them. In the morning you would see the van would come in and load them back up. Now they have so many fruits and vegetables out there. They can't move that. You're not moving it, unloading and loading that up every day. So they're probably out there 24/7. And there's another guy where the movie theater was. He was selling fruits and vegetables 24/7. But the movie theater closed. I hate the fact that there's no more movie theater on that area there, but they closed up April 30th because people weren't going to the movie theater. So it's an empty space now. But I have a feeling, hopefully somebody will buy it and use it. But yeah, the subway now, and both sides of the street too. You got them selling fruits and vegetables.
That is so different. I mean, I don't expect anything to remain the same, but things have accelerated with this whole the immigrant thing, and it's forced to change. But it's like playing musical chairs, and every time the music goes off, then it's us who were born there that get the crappy end of the stick. You see?
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's funny. I look at that, and I know people saying, "Well, see, they're getting out there working. How come you're not?" But people gotta understand. People kind of been there, done that. Like what they're doing now, people did that, years ago. Nobody wants to go back to selling fruits and vegetables. It's not a matter of being lazy. It's just not. You don't want to step back. You don't want to do what you did, and then how much money could you make it anyway? But
exactly.
But I get. Yeah, but they're doing what they need to do to survive. Like I said, I walk past it every day, and I see how it went from 1 or 2 fruits. Now I don't even, if I want, I don't need to go to the store and buy fruits. I just go there. They're probably cheaper than the store anyway, I would think. The only thing they don't have out there, the only thing they don't have out there now is watermelons, and I wouldn't be surprised they start getting those. But there's another guy down Merrick Boulevard. He's out there 24/7. It's a truck that comes from Florida and Georgia, and he's selling watermelons 24. If I want a watermelon at 3 in the morning, I can go get me a full size watermelon. I'm not talking about no little handheld. I'm talking about a real watermelon. I mean, he has a whole table full. And he charges like $25 for watermelons. But he's been doing it a few years out there all night long. All night long. Yep. So, yeah. But that's, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the changes.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to sign off because I have everything hooked up on the computer. I don't want to take the risk of a power blinkage, and my phone is going down. My battery is, because I use this phone a lot. This is part of my office, right? And man, I want to keep on going though. This is interesting. We got to do this again. And if you get little footage of these things, send it to me, and I'll put it up so everybody can see it. Because it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Wow. You gave us some good information tonight.
Yeah, the city is going through some changes.
I'm going to talk about New York again. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to go into some underbelly stuff. This stuff is real. We're going to ride it. And like I was saying earlier, just like Joe Franklin had his little nostalgic show, it was basically a white thing. I want us to go back in time. And I'm going to talk about other things currently, but this stuff is interesting, and a lot of people in our age group and even a little younger who find it interesting and who remember this stuff. We got to kind of talk about it and preserve it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well,
there's a lot of people that be like, yeah.
Well, Joe Franklin. He's in Tony's movie. Tony got him in it before he passed away. Is the last person that Tony managed to get in his movie. I told you that, right?
Wait, say that again. Say it again.
Because Tony knew Joe Franklin. So
really,
he took me. Matter of fact, calling the Tony, he was on his radio show a couple of times. So he took me there, and he had him play his boss in his movie. So because Tony's always doing these Jane Bondage characters.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So he had him play like his boss. And I shook his hand. And
Joe
he was
Franklin.
already, yeah. I think I still have that picture in my phone. I think I sent it to you, but yeah, that was just before he passed away, actually. So we got him
If
in
you
the new.
finally send it to me, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I got.
I
If
want to
it's not
see
in
it.
this phone, it's in my other one. Because well, Tony, anytime he remembers Joe Franklin, no doubt about that. They became pretty good friends. He really did that.
Wow,
But anyway, like I
I
said, yeah,
think
I'll
so.
let you charge your phone, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
find out
yeah,
what my friend
yeah.
wanted.
I'm gonna hit the sack because I'm 4 hours ahead of you, and I'll be up probably another four
He's all
hours
right.
or so because
We good.
these guys, it's 2:15. You're 4 hours ahead of the East Coast, but there's no problem. I can switch back and be a night bird. There's no problem,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
which I am now. But since the thing is down to 2%, I ended because I would keep on going because it's really I got a guy coming here at noon, but these guys are going to be up here working at 6, and they work from 6 to about 10 o'clock tonight.
Wow.
6 in the
Well,
morning
actually,
for them.
you shouldn't let your phone go this low either. It's not good for the phone.
It's not
For
good,
you to go
right?
this low.
And I have a
No.
limiter that it only goes to 85%. It won't go all the way up too because that's not good either. So you don't want to because it's a cycle, it's a full cycle, and
Yeah.
that's not good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I understand that. Yeah,
All right.
we definitely have to do
I'll
this
see
again.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, man. So we'll do that. I'm gonna
Mhm.
just sign off right now, put on the outros and everything, and hit the sack. I'm gonna get up. I want to do more than one show tomorrow. And actually, I have something that's already uploaded from way back in the day that was lost, and I'm gonna put that up right after this, probably a few minutes after. So it'll be more stuff to feast on. Conversation
Okay.
I had with Pimp Snooki. HBO made a documentary on him. This is famous pimp. So, in the
Snooky.
beginning of that particular segment, you hear this calls from a federal institution. I left all of that in there. That's just for effect. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, and I,
Okay.
and I want to do more of these interview type things. So when you run into interesting people, find out they want to talk to me, and we'll both come on. We'll talk to them. If they do anything interesting, different, you know, that's what I'm looking for now. The interesting people that can tell different types of stories and insights and stuff. I'm still going to do the same old stuff I always done, but I want to sprinkle it with some new stuff. And when the
Okay.
studio's done, because they're working on it now, one phase of it is 3 phases that I have to go through for it to be the way I want. And it's gonna be off the
Uh,
chain.
you painted your whole wall, for a green screen, right?
Well, one wall there is going to be for the green screen. It's going to be huge because I want to be able to stand there full body. you know. And that in the apartment, I did that too. The landlord, oh, you can do it, no problem. But here, it's huge in there. And I want to arrange it right, I want everything in place and little nooks and crannies. It's gonna be nice. The lighting, everything, but the decor. And I'm gonna have some real stonework on the wall, decorative, and we'll bring back them yellow hazard stripes to them back in the day in a different way. I can tell it, but it's dedicated. And I just had two, not the actual AC units, but two of them are set up for two in there. So it's gonna be nice and cool if it gets hot because of all that equipment, and I won't have any problem. And actually, the solar guy is coming at 12 noon. Um, Give me a price on that. It is going to take time because we're doing one thing at a time. But the
You got a
icing on the
lot of work
cake
to
is
do.
coming, and yeah, it's a lot, man. And but I want it nice because I'm gonna really get into this. So they thought that all I did before, this is my hobby. I say it's a hobby, but I'm into it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna be into it. Now I'm checking. I think Twitch doesn't hit you for the copyright because I want to do some music shows, like not just DJing, right? But playing some old music, talking about the stories behind it and all that stuff and everything. If I have to do it on a different platform, fine. I could always upload it to the site after that. So it's just creatively doing something different. I just don't want to be typecast and just a one-way Charlie, like so many narrow-minded people wanted me to be. I'm going to be more human, but I'm always going to be a black man. I'm always going to speak about those things, but I want to do the full range, the full spectrum of the human experience. So
Yeah.
that's what it is, you know. But yeah, I appreciate the
Okay.
conversation, right?
Okay.
We got so much to listen. Tell everybody that before you go, the names of us when we were superheroes.
Thunder and lightning.
Like, what? We actually stopped the crime in progress.
And I said, I told my friends, and they said the same. What? You did what? You guys are crazy. I'm like, man, but but you know, there's real people out there in different cities who actually consider themselves superheroes for real.
I know. I heard.
I know there's one
That's
guy,
something.
he does martial arts and he beats people up. If he catches you doing something, he has no problem with breaking arms. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he wears a bulletproof vest and also. And they said he's a little too enthusiastic. He will hurt people. But that's
wow.
Yeah.
Well, the people doing bad things need to know that.
Yeah.
You see a man beating on a woman or something, then it needs to get his arm broken, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that might get him killed too. You know.
Yeah.
You know, real superhero.
Exactly. Yep. Drive up on you and like you have with a machine gun. Right. That's a whole other story. We can talk about that.
Wow.
All right.
That's crazy.
All right. So on that note,
I'm gonna wrap this down. But I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow, and I want to get some ideas from you about certain things that we can on the conversation tip, because we have so much history. Really and truly, two black men that know each other from 1969. Come on, man. Born in 63 for me. I think you're 59, born in 59, and know each other from all that time. That's phenomenal. And in that city, the memories and adventures we had, there's some adventures we've had and things we've been through that we probably can't even tell.
Yep.
But me, I don't mind. You can tell mine. You know what I mean? We're going to push the edge, push it to the edge.
And vice versa. You remind me of stuff that I forgot about.
Remember the time we were on at 42nd Street in the subway, and we were play fighting, but it was looking real, just like on Rocky.
And somebody
the
called
cops came up.
Yep.
It looked real though.
Yeah,
it really did. Because you'd snap your head back when I threw a jab or something. I do the same thing, and we mixed it up, and we didn't hit each other, but we were close. But we just, man, people were standing. Oh man, they over there fighting. The cops came. I can't believe that.
Because they came and asked, "Did you see two guys fighting here?" You're like, "No."
Oh, that's right.
You were the only ones in the car. Yeah. Me and you were the only ones in that car. You would have figured, okay, come on now. You see two guys. They said two guys are fighting. And you get on the subway and you don't see anybody else with us. But we weren't messed up.
But
or
it
anything
looked real
like that.
though.
Yeah,
it looked real.
Because people were looking across the platform into a subway car, so they couldn't tell. It is what it is. But it was the fun old days, though.
I'm telling you, we got so much more to share. And see, for me, I can tell these stories, but it's better when you have somebody to bounce off of you with it, and then you go and bring maybe a detail that I forgot, which I don't hardly forget anything, but it's good that way. It's very interesting.
I'm sure you remember more than me, because there's a lot of things into you start saying like, I forgot all about that.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff I never forgot. Seriously, a lot of stuff I never forgot.
You never know what's going to shake that out again, and you start remembering. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so it can happen. It will happen.
There was something that we cracked up. There was a guy, and I forgot the circumstances, but I never forgot his face. And he had a dumb look on his face, and it was something. It was something down in Times Square. And he got busted. Like we saw him, and he was smiling like a dumb look, like, oh, I got busted. We didn't know the guy, but it was something. It's gonna hit me. And we were rolling. We were rolling. We were cracking up. And he kept turning around and walking away. Wow. Yeah. That's one of those from way back. Way back. Yeah. So serious, man. Now, I do this every day, so if you're up for tomorrow, probably get a break or whatever, but whatever day we're going to come on, we'll do something. I'll shoot you the link.
Well, tomorrow's my mother's birthday. I don't know what we're going to be doing.
Tell her happy birthday. Wow.
I will. Yeah, she asked about
maybe if you buy her, you call me and I'll say it in person. You know what I mean? Do it that way. All right?
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'll talk to you. Have a
Okay,
good one.
tomorrow we'll talk. All right.
All right.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Make sure this do it this way. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this down. I don't know what's going on with my phone. Like I said, this is a way to guarantee that I don't get knocked out if the power gets out. You know, a lot of little glitches and surges and stuff like that. When I get the solar, that won't be no problem, although I'll still use this power. And it's a whole new day, and I want to do things a different way, but even better and more intense and more personable, more where you can feel the vibration, not just me talking and dictating. I want to do the conversations, and I know a lot of interesting people for many decades. You know, and it's funny, before I go, I just want to say this, that between me, I just say AB, you know, maybe we'll have his real name out there if he wants or whatever. I always give people that courtesy. But between us, we know so many people. They're a core group of friends that we have. Let's just make up a number and say 10, because it's more than that. But say 10 that we all keep in contact with each other. And if you say 4 or 5, that core even more. And he has his wing of people that I know real good, and I have my wing of people that he knows real good. But it's just amazing to know so many people that know each other in a good, strong inner circle. It's amazing, you know, and we could all hang out. We all have overlapping stories and stuff. Some a little shy to get on. They're just a little shy to get on. And I have to really tell them, listen, man, life is short. We need to put these little stories out there, entertain people. And it's a lifeline for certain people because they know this stuff is real. It's not like, oh, it's just a production or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to make the nice banners and have the intros and outros and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you just overheard a real conversation that we shared. And it's real. And that's the beauty of it. So anyway, before this phone goes down anymore, we just put it on the battery exclusively without using it. We'll cut it off for a while. And we will definitely be back. And, well, of course, we'll be back tomorrow. But just want to let you know I love you all, and I enjoyed myself tonight greatly. And we are going to do this again. Have a good night. What time is it over there? Well, it's not as late as it is over here. It's 2:26. So it's 10:26 on the East Coast. So maybe some of y'all are getting ready to go to bed. Anyway, thanks for hanging in there. We'll be back. We're always going to improve. We're never going to stop. We're going to keep on going. Peace. Peace, peace, peace.
Make sure to go to LanceScurv.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LanceScurv, trust me, you'll be back for more. LanceScurv.com. Bold, raw, and uncut. Make